Polunsky has the most cameras in the prison system because all the murders that happened over there. Every day you come out, you're wondering what's next. I've seen plenty of guards get after it with inmates. Dudes could just come up and get your cell popped and run in and stab you to death, and I would sleep with fake body armor around me at nighttime. People used to call me a silent killer, and just like accepted that I was gonna be a prisoner for the rest of my life.
What happens when a 17-year-old kid gets thrown into one of the most violent prison systems in America? He becomes an animal, and that's exactly what happened to Tim Greisheimer. In this episode, Tim takes us deep inside the belly of the beast, exposing the violence, brutality, and corruption of the Texas prison system. From fatal stabbings in the chow hall, to guards murdering inmates, to working on death row at the infamous Terrell unit, Tim has seen the worst of humanity. This is part 2 of a 5-part series we filmed with Tim, so to get the other episodes early, head over to patreon.com/theconnectshow. Ladies and gentlemen, he blows the lid off this one. It's the great Tim Greisheimer, right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell.
Terrell was like, at one point in time, I want to say it was like the worst unit in the nation. Like, when I got there, I remember my mom wrote me and said it was like the worst in Texas at that time. And there was like so many murders happening between like the Mexican Mafia and Texas Syndicate. And I think the Pistoleros were involved in some of those too. Where like my mom drove 5 hours to come in, and just because who I was hanging out with, which I don't even know why they would do this because I wasn't Mexican, they wouldn't even let her come and see me. Like they were regulating, like my mom said they had a paper. It's like the count sheet that has all the names and bunk numbers on it. And my name was highlighted. Like that happened multiple times. When I got put down, there was an officer, I'm not gonna say his name. I don't know if he still works there or not. So my homeboy, E&J from Fort Worth, I think he murdered somebody in the mall or something like that. So he was on death row, and he got convicted when he was 16, I think, 16 or 17. So he was on death row. He was still on death row when I made parole, but Texas wound up passing a law saying if you were like 17 or 16 or some shit, that punishment was too harsh. So he wound up getting his time commuted to a life sentence. He was on the front of the papers and everything. So he got out. So because death row is like a higher security, say an officer is like a sergeant on death row. If they come out to population, they automatically up them to a lieutenant because of that security level. So my homeboy, E&J, he put a law down that was a ranking officer. He made him affiliated. And he gets out, right? He comes to population, so now he's got a higher rank. He's working on 3rd shift. And this one, they still had all 3 shifts because they moved to 2 shifts, if I'm correctly remembering the history. And so now they're like 12-hour shifts, 4 on, 4 off, A card and B card. So my homeboy Porkchop from San Antonio, he is a BSV, a Bloodstone villain. I used to call him, he used to call me like Pink, little Snow Bunny Pink ab, woo. And I used to call him the chocolate marshmallow because he is like short and chubby. And he had like a little like small fro as much as he could have. Because in Texas, they don't let you grow your hair out. It's not like other states. Like before, when I went back to prison the second time, it was like my second or third year in my bid, they just started letting us have beards. Like that's how strict Texas is. Like they don't play that shit. So he put this law down with blood. So we're on 3 building, we're all chilling, and all of a sudden it's almost rack time. It's late night rack. It's like close to 12 o'clock at night. So the lady comes in, the guard, she comes in and she gets pork chop because E&J tells him to come and get pork chop. But nobody knows what's going on because there's been no kite sent, no nothing like that. So she's like, you need to go to 1 building. So if on like Friday, Saturday night, if you get called to 1 building that late at night, it usually means you're getting UA'd at that time. So we're like, damn, fool, you getting UA'd? So we're thinking like, who the told it? Because at this time, there was like if there was snitching in the penitentiary, it was so low key. Like, so at this time on Terrell unit, if a riot happened, like, or say the SAs were about to kick it off with the SAs, or the whites were going to kick it off with the whites, they would come around to the other gang leaders and tell them, hey, you guys got a week to make store or send money to your people who don't have money. And this is before snitching became prevalent. Snitching stopped all that from happening, right? It was really when they enforced this thing called the Safe Prisons Act, PREA, and you started seeing like this like rat with a stick. Like, I guess it was like an extortion rat or something. So long story short, bro, Pork Chop goes to one building. He's gone for a minute. So I think it was like around 12 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock. He comes back close to 2 o'clock. But the female officer that came and got him, she was involved in this the whole time. She knew the whole play. She brings him back, escorts him all the way back so he doesn't get shaken down, comes in. She tells him, go straight to your cell. So like Terrell's like the newer units, like doors, you can get individual doors popped. And back then it was so wide open, you could just like go up to your cell and be like, hey, pop my cell. You didn't have to wait for an in and out. You could just get him to pop your cell. So he goes up there, he pops his cell, puts his towel up on the door. And I'm like, the f-? So we're all kind of looking like the f- just happened. So next thing you know, he pulls the towel off one side of the window. He's like, look out, Tim. I look up. He's like, so I look, I'm like, come on, fool. So we shoot upstairs. This law done dropped off to this fool. I'm talking about this wrapped with the goddamn saran wrap, like the big, they package the boxes with. So the law done wrapped this up. This fool's got bud, packs a bugler. He is strapped to the T with work, bro. And I'm talking about we were on fire, dog. Like everybody had it. This is when like the Bloods were like, dude, like on Terrell unit, like the Bloods, we had the most respect. And then we got into a riot. This led us to get into a riot because one of our homies got jacked for a pack. And this is what got us respect from the Mexicans. So like, I don't know if
can I cut you off?
Yeah.
So your homie was able to flip this guard.
Yeah.
So much that he was like a mini 7-Eleven. They wrapped him.
They wrapped him
with all this contraband.
Yeah, with all this contraband, bro.
What was there? Tobacco?
It was tobacco and weed, and then I think there was some powder there. I know they had. I can't remember if there was powder that time, but there was powder later on involved.
When you say powder, are you talking about meth?
No, coke. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they had that, dude. They were.
So you can bubble like crazy.
Yeah.
What was one of those sticks, like a tiny tobacco stick, selling for?
Now the tobacco, they would roll maybe like some small joints, but usually I used to call them baseball bats when I used to sell them. I used to call them Louisville sluggers. So I would try to flip them joints like as big as my pinky just to get them gone. But they would sell pretty fast squares. It was the joints that were stupid small, like a pen, an ink pen. You know how the tube is like super small, and one of them like $5 all day long. And then the pencil sharpener, the little miniature one. That pencil sharpener, that little hole right there, if you filled that up with bud, that's like $20, $20 to $50, depending on what's going on. If you filled it up with coke, you're looking at 100 to whatever, 100 minimum.
Was there money in Texas state prisons like that?
Yeah. Bro, I sent you that article on Polunsky not too long ago, dog. Like, bro, to get it in, they ain't playing around, dude. You can't even write in there anymore because you used to be able to write because was taking that K2 liquid and spraying it on cards. And dudes were cutting strips of cards, and these fools were just smoking card. Like smoking the chemical, like getting off on that shit. Like there's a new death every day in Texas prisons from that spice, that K2 shit. Them fools are out of there on that trash.
So you hadn't yet really put your hustle down. I mean, you had sold bud on the streets, but now you're in prison hustling. So you were taking care of yourself.
Yeah,
you were getting money.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Did that feel good?
Yeah, because A, I didn't really get money on commissary, but B, so when I was a kid, when I hung out on the block, I always hung out with the older guys. And the older guys always with me. Like my homeboy Ray and them, their dad, he's passed away. His name's Ray too. He used to call me his white son. This dude would let me he had one of them old late 80 Link baskets. You know what I'm saying? The Lincoln, I think it was the town car. He used to let me at 15 years old take his Lincoln town car across town full of bud and make drops. Because he with me so hard because how I was. I was very quiet. I didn't talk. I didn't brag or boast. People used to call me a silent killer. They'd be like, that's the silent killer right there. Like I didn't do no talking. Like I wasn't about talking about it. Like if I came and told you, hey bro, I'm about to go Trevor up. Like I ain't telling you that so you could try to talk me out of it. I just be like, hey, hold this. I'm about to go take care of this real quick. And there was no talking about it. Like I'm taking care of it, if I told you at all. So I always had older dudes telling me to like take care of myself. So when I went to prison, this is why I stopped stealing, because I went there for burglary and they used to clown on me, calling me a cat burglar. Oh, you cat burglar, you sneaking in people, you sniffing panties and shit, sneaking through people's window, oh coward, you weren't down to take it. I'm a robber, I took that shit. So it made me feel some type of way that it made me, they weren't doing it to clown on me. I was the youngest dude on Terrell unit when I got there. They wanted to PC me up. They didn't want to let me in population, because they figured I was going to get raped and taken advantage of. The warden told me that. So when I came out to UCC and went to UCC, I gave him my name and my TDC number, and then he looked at me and they saw that I fell out of Bell County. They know it's a military town. Even though I wasn't a military brat, they thought that I was one. So they go, are you a military brat? And because my grandfather and all them had been in the military, I just said, yeah, out of reaction. I didn't think it would affect, like it would benefit me. So I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, I'm a military brat. And they go, what the are you doing here with this burglary case? And he was like, man, he's like, put him in PC, ship him. And then I was like, nah, I don't do that. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, man, I don't want that type of jacket. Don't do that to me. You're just going to make it hard on me. And then the warden, he was like, you know what's going to happen if I let you out in population? He goes, you know what happens to little white boys like you? He's like, in a week, if even a week, I'm going to be out by that phone when you're going to come by and chow with Cool Off. It's this little Kool-Aid they sell in prison. They call them Cool Offs. They used to. I think the name has changed now, Cool Down or something. He's like, you're going to be walking by with peach Cool Off on your face, wearing tight-ass pants, and you're going to have a different name. He's like, I'm tired of seeing little white dudes done. And he's like, and I'm retired military. I'm not going to let that happen to you. And I was like, I straight told him, I was like, sir, I'm not going to disappoint you. I promise that's not happening. Please let me go to population. So I had a chance, which at this time in Texas prisons, you couldn't catch out. Like how in other prisons, people can refuse housing. You can't do that in Texas. You can kind of do it now, but back then, you couldn't do that shit. You couldn't even, how I'm talking kind of loud right now, like if me and you got into an argument, and then I was like, man, you pussy ass, ooh, come over here. Like that was like catching out on the cool. Like you were trying to make a scene. If I had a problem with you and I wanted to fight you one-on-one, it had to be professional. I had to come up to your people. If you were running with somebody, hey, Johnny disrespected me. I want to, get the blacks would kind of get down like that, but not even that often. But the whites and the Mexicans, they kind of enforced that professionalism. So I wanted to go to population. I could have caught out. Like nobody would have known. I didn't know, nobody knew me. So they could have put me in PC and shipped me, all for the fact that I said that I was a military brat. But I didn't want that. I wanted to go to population. I wanted to prove myself to be a man, that I could walk through this shit, that I could fade it.
Were little white boys getting raped like that?
Yeah. Yeah, dog, all the little pussy ass white boys. But they weren't the only one, bro. Like blacks were gambling on blacks that were coming in. You would see little black dudes coming in and they'd gamble on if they could break them and take advantage of them. The families, they were doing the same thing. They were extorting other Mexicans. That's why you remember on the first podcast I talked about the Tango Blast. So like I ain't trying to disrespect him or nothing, but like when I was in prison the first time, where I was at, I can only speak for where I was at because everywhere you go is different. Bro, like when a new SA would come onto the pod, they would go up to him. They would hit him up first and they would be like, hey, are you Solano? Are you Fama? Are you blasting? What you doing? And if they said that they were Solano, if I'm saying that correctly, then they would say, if you want to fuck with us, you can fuck with us. If not, you're going to have to worry about the Famas, which is the families. And they would protect solos. Now they don't do that. They don't protect them no more. But back then, at least on Terrell unit, they would kind of protect solos from the families preying on them. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to have you do all their dirty work and their bitch work. But yeah, bro, dude, there was a white dude in there that had murdered his whole family named Billy, who was in there getting straight up done in, bro. A certified killer getting straight done in.
Well, why? Is it because you get tested and you refuse to put up a fight?
I guess so. Man, he was riding with a dude named Big Whirl. I'll say his name. He was riding with Big Whirl. Big Whirl wasn't doing anything sexually. He was extorting him. You know what I'm saying? So Billy made a comment to me on the basketball court. He was like, man, I sure like to suck his dick. And I turned and I looked and he was looking at me. And I was like, say fool. And me not knowing how to handle it, because it was like my third week in the joint. I was like my third or fourth week. I hadn't been there no longer than a month. And I was like, and I was itching to prove myself already because nobody had came and challenged me or backdoored me. Like nothing had happened yet. So I was like, fool, you talking to like that? I'll smack the goddamn shit out of you. I'm all roaring, trying to be hard. So next thing I know, well, my cellmate, Big Whirl, was his cousin. So I was in there asleep. And next thing you know, I hear a knock on my cell. Doo, 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 doo. And I look up, and it's this big-ass black dude standing at my door with Billy and another punk, a white boy named Bigfoot, who had like some ski boat tennis shoes. He was a weirdo who was in there for murder. He murdered somebody. He was getting extorted. So he's like, you Tim? And I said, yeah. He's like, Temple, right? I said, yeah. I walked to the door, and he's all like, come out here and holler at me, bro. So he looked at the law. Hey, pop the cell, fool. So I pop the cell. I come to the door. He opens up the door. This is massive, bro. Super wide. Big old arms. I don't even know who he is. He's all like, you talk shit to my boy? That's what he called him, my boy. And I was like, yeah. And he's all like, what happened? I was like, man, we were on the rec yard. And he said, I sure like to suck his dick. He's like, so you threatened him? I said, yeah, I threatened him. He's like, well, if you threatened him, then you threatened me. He's like, so now you got to answer to me. He's like, and I don't give a who you with. I don't care who's got your back. And he's talking loud. And back then, now they got flat screens in there, but back then they had like the little small TVs, just one of them. So he turned around and pointed to the David and he goes, I don't give a about none of them bitch ass white boys over there. Ain't that? I'll whoop every single one of them hoes. And these are all family members. I'll whoop every single one of them hoes. They don't want nothing with me. He's like, yeah, you're not, hell nah, fool. I'm about to come up in your cell. And as he's saying that, my cellie's coming in. He doesn't even realize that this is his own cousin's cell because he's so hot that I done checked this dude he's paying protection to. So I was like, we can just catch the shower, dog. You ain't got to come up in here. And he's like, he like caught him off guard. He's like, what? I was like, nah, we can catch the shower. I ain't trying to my celly shit up. I was like, but we can catch the shower though, bro. Let me put my shoes on. So I go and I put my shoes on and he's looking at me. And all of a sudden my celly comes up the stairs. He's like, well, what's up? They shake hands. They start talking and shit. And then he looks, he's like, this your celly? He's like, yes, my celly. What's up? He's like, oh shit, man, we about to catch the shower. He's like, about what? Oh, he checked my boy, woo. And he started laughing. And he had a crazy ass laugh. He's like, man, what happened, Tim? And I was like, man, that fool talking about he sure like to suck my dick. I was like, so shit. I was like, he talking about he want to come up in the cell. I was like, I ain't trying to disrespect the house. I was like, so shit, I guess we just gonna have to fade that fucking shower, bro. It is what it is. And he was like, man, y'all cool that shit, woo. And then he's like, man, that's my silly bro, the cool ass white boy, da 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 da. And he just off of that strength, he left it alone. And then he turned around and slapped that punk for saying that to me. But I found out later on that punk had killed his whole family because he was on 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes in 2020 came to that unit all the time.
Because it was so violent and
the violence and
anarchy,
and because of there was a lot of high class cases there, high profile cases there. Like there was some cases, some black dudes and a white dude got caught up with them. Cash Love, I'll never forget his name. Cash Love. They were from like some small East Texas town. They busted him with a bunch of keys of coke, but it wasn't coke. It was like drywall. So they didn't catch him with anything, but the laws wanted him so bad. They put fake, I think it was kilos or something. You can look this up. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you, of coke. They were interviewed by 60 Minutes in 2020, I think twice. And a law firm of kids or something like pro bono picked their case up and got him out. And Cash Love, he had like 485 years. Like he got the most time out of all of them. White dude who ran with a bunch of Crips, but he wasn't claiming Crip, but the Crips still with him because of who he was. But he was solo, but he was a cool. But there was a lot of high profile cases there.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Shopify. When you start something new, whether it's a podcast, a side hustle, or a business, it can feel like you're doing everything yourself. 100%. I feel like that way still doing this podcast. You're building your brand, managing the website, figuring out marketing, and trying to keep it all running smoothly. That's why Shopify is such a powerful business partner. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses worldwide. It actually powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. These guys are the gold standard of an e-commerce platform. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify makes it easy to build a professional online store that fits your brand. Their built-in AI tools can help create product descriptions, write page headlines, and even enhance product photos. Plus, Shopify helps you reach customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns, all from one place. You guys, the best way to have financial freedom is to build your own business. By the way, AI is making it super easy to do that if you really, put your mind to studying it, and Shopify can help you get there. Shopify can create an entire business model for you. And as your business grows, Shopify helps manage everything from inventory and payments to shipping, returns, and analytics. This is backed by award-winning 24/7 customer support. They handle everything from A to Z. Start your business today and use the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing cha-ching as that do-re-mi rolls in. Sign up for your $1 a month trial. That's $1 during the trial period at shopify.com/Mitchell. Once again, that's $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Mitchell. My last name. Go to shopify.com/Mitchell. Once again, that's shopify.com/MITCHELL. Cha-ching.
Does Texas, it seems like they hand out so much time, like those ridiculous 500-year sentences.
Yeah.
Did you see a lot of that where it just people's years that made your head spin?
Yeah.
Like, how is that even humanly possible?
Yeah, there was a judge in Houston that would pick up, I think it was nickels or quarters or something, and he'd toss them to you. And whatever you caught, whatever hit the ground is how much time you got. I can't remember his name. That's a true story, bro. There was a bunch of dudes with time like that there. Like when I was on Terrell unit, everybody had massive time, dude. But what's crazy is all the guys with that massive time were the coolest because they knew they were never getting out. So that's why the respect level there was different. Like some guy with 5-10 years try to come and start some ruckus. That motherfucker can get his ass stabbed the up. Like there was a dude from New York that came there. He was a loudmouth. He had 5 years. They killed that fool. They stomped him to death and they choked him with the shoestring, tied it around his neck and put him in his cell. And because it was so wide open over there and the laws didn't get in your business, they didn't find him dead for a couple days. He stayed 2 cells down from me. When they pulled that out, his head was swelled up like a basketball. And they killed him just for being a loudmouth and always talking to the laws. They're like, why you always talking to the laws, fool? And he had 5 years, 6 years. And the people with the big time, I don't remember who did it to him, but Because you could get your door popped all the time. That's why it was so dangerous over there. Like when we got into that riot, my homies had shanks passed to them through the scullery where the dishes. That's why the SAs respected us, because in Texas prisons, blacks don't play with knives like that. They don't play. I don't know about no other states, but in Texas prisons, blacks don't really get down with the steel like that. So when they seen that my homies got down with the steel like that, where they were at, it brought us to a different respect level with the Mexicans. But when we were in that beef, because dudes could just come up and get your cell popped and run in and stab you to death, because that was happening all the time, we would make like fake body armor, and I would sleep with fake body armor around me at nighttime because of that shit.
So if there was an op that wanted to kill you, he could tell a guard, whether the guard knew about it or not, maybe the guard was working with them, hey, pop Greisheimer's cell. I'm about to see him. And the guards would pop your door open and then they would run in and stab you to death.
They would let them come in because there was people in there that had big money. Bro, there's a dude, I ain't gonna say his name. I'm gonna tell you off camera, just don't rat me out. There's a prominent figure here in Texas.
Ted Cruz.
No, he's not a politician. There's a prominent here in Texas. There was a bunch of dudes from Houston on that unit for dirt for him. And he was taking care of all of them. And that's a fact.
He wasn't in prison.
He wasn't in prison.
But he was taking care of all these Houston dudes in prison.
In prison.
And they were doing dirt.
They did dirt for him, and they could get whatever they wanted. They could turn a guard like that because they had the money to make it happen. They had cash, dog.
And these guards, you can imagine how hillbilly and country redneck these guards are.
Yeah. So you, even with the black guards, because the black guards are from these little towns like Jasper and Cleveland, they're country. They've never seen no money. Houston is the fastest thing to them. Even though Texas in the city, we're all pretty country, right? It's still kind of country to a who's not from Texas. In Houston, you can go to Fifth Ward right now, the Bloody Nickel, Acres Homes, them run horses down the street. You go to the Black Rodeo, like these dope dealers, big dope dealers, hardcore gangbangers ride horses like it ain't nothing. Like, don't get it twisted. So when you got a dude, just say back then, because it was cash money, when you got a dude telling a female, hey, I'm going to get this dropped off to you, I'll give you $2,500 right now just to say yes, and I'll give you another $2,500 when you bring it in, and then I'll give you a percentage, whatever that percentage is, off of every drop. So now a guard who's making a couple grand a month and they only get paid once a month there, now is getting $5,000 just to bring something in, and she is getting a percentage of what's going on, and they're actually really taking care of that person. It's not a lie. Like, they're not manipulating them and then saying, I'll go, they're like actually, that's what, like, seeing that and being a part of that, that's why I treat people the way that I do. That's why I don't try to nobody over. That's why I was always honest when I started selling dope to my plug, because I was taught that in there by the older dudes.
So there was cash in prison at Terrell unit.
Mad cash. Like
thousands of dollars.
The most money I saw in Terrell unit on one person was 10 grand.
In the joint, that's like 150 grand.
Yeah.
That's insane. So they were getting it. So you could pay a guard if you needed to hit somebody. It could go even something that serious. You could corrupt and flip a guard
all day long, bro. So
knowing this, what was the first time that you were tested? Because you knew it had to come, right? You're 17 years old and you're a white guy that is accustomed to running with blacks, and now you're in this heavily segregated environment, this incredibly violent environment. Like, what was the first time somebody backdoored you? No,
that was the incident in the furniture factory with those guys, with those white guys. That was that incident that happened. Yeah, that was some crazy shit. That was like I think that was like my first month in. It was within probably I want to say like a 6 week time. I hadn't been there 3 months yet. I know I was like the first like month and a half I was in that happened. And that was for me watching rap videos. That's what that all spiraled behind was me watching rap videos. Marcelli, dude, who I've talked to, and he asked me, I'm not saying his name because he asked me not to say his name. He asked me to keep his name out of everything. I don't know why, but I talked to him, and he just said, "Don't say my name." Like he's totally changed his life. Like me. Like I forgot my own prison ID number. Like I have to keep it written down. So, being that type of criminal, when you want to switch and be a clean person, you got to totally switch. You got to totally turn it off, I believe. So I think he just doesn't want anything about that lifestyle. So I respect it. If it wasn't for him, I don't think that I would have made it out of the furniture factory alive that day. Like, because they were going to take me to the SAP room and do whatever they planned on doing. I might have made it out alive, but I wouldn't have made it out. I wouldn't look like this. I wouldn't look good looking. Like, I would be up. I'd probably be missing some teeth, up nose, up face. And just that dude with me, man, he told them to look out for me. And then just how everything played out, like the furniture factory is so big. So when you walk in, you had these big shelves that I told you about, like the Home Depot shelves, the Lowe's shelves to the right. To the left was the shipping area. So it went around like basically a big horseshoe. It was one big factory. That's how. So we made like all the face frames and stuff here. And then when you entered in through the flipping doors, it was a bunch of like rolling line, like a rolling assembly line where dudes built desks. They had the table saw, like everything you would see in the free world of factory. They're building all these desks for the state and federal facilities. That's how they don't pay Texas inmates, because Texas inmates gave up their money for good time. So as long as they make like stuff for quote unquote state and federal facilities, that's how they say they don't have to pay you. Right, that's how they get out of that. So you have these dudes are making desks, sanding desks. They're going all the way down this line, and then the SAP room is where it's the final process, and only one guy works in there, which is Ugly Buddy. He monitors every desk that comes through there, and then it goes through around the corner through to the spray room. And once it gets sprayed and lacquered and all that shit, if it's all good and go, it goes to get shipped. So we were going to go to the spray room, because in the spray room, when they put these desks and they take the shelves off, they spray them. There's this ventilation system that shoots everything outside. And there's like these filters in the ventilation system. So they'll go into that ventilation system and they'll smoke bud or they'll smoke cigarettes, and it'll just get sucked straight up outside. You can't smell it. So they had came to me to go back there and smoke some bud. And I don't know why I said yes, because the white dude had already told me I was on my own. He's like, "You're on your own, homeboy." Blah, 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 blah. He was an ABT cat. I know his name. I'm not going to say his name. I don't know if he's alive. I don't know if he's active. I'm just going to show him respect of that nature. Not to say his name, but he was the one that had told me, like, you're on your own. You're about to see what prison is really about, bro. So when I went to work, they waited a couple days. It wasn't the next day. It was a couple days. And that's when them dudes came to me. And I think they did that on purpose to let my mind stop thinking about it. And I remember Marcelli telling me, he's like, "They're not going to get you over here. They're going to get you at work, because if they're here and they try something, they know they're going to have a problem with me." So I guess he already kind of put the word out, like, "Hey, this is the homie type shit. Like, this fool's with us." So like I was like hanging out with the Houston dudes already. They were already with me, playing dominoes with them, stuff like that. I started wearing like tight whites and shit, being a player. They used to sell like house shoes in prison. They had brown ones, but the black ones were really hard to get. But because of him, I was able to get the black ones out of commissary. Like if you put a blue slip in, you have to put in these things that are called property slips. to get like a stereo and all this shit from commissary, and it takes like 2 weeks to get approved. Like we just went straight down there, and he had the commissary lady on his team. Like I told you, this fool was a big player. Like he had multiple females on his squad. Like this dude was making money. Like he was making so much money he was paying his mom's bills. That's a fact. He was paying his mom's bills from prison. This is where I got this mentality why I started hustling when you asked me, did it feel good to make money? Because I didn't have to ask my mom for shit. I never wrote my mom and asked her for any money. Never. When she'd come and see me, she's like, you need money? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I got money.
So he was making like street money on the inside.
And on the inside. When I'm talking about, man, drops from the S2 would go down to the park, the trustees, they call them S2s, like S1, S2s, like that's the most lenient security you could be. They'd be down at the parks, no guards watching them. They'd take a tractor down there, hang out down there all day long, eat free world food. These are coming back with the drop. The law is letting them bring the drop and throw it over a certain part of the fence where they couldn't be found. Then another trustee's grabbing it and bringing it in, because when you're on a unit like that, that's the highest level security you can be because death row's there. So there's like 3 fences before you even get to the main fence. And there's gaps in between those fences with it's not razor wire. It looks like razor wire, but it's really snag wire. Like the top, like it goes like that, but it's only real sharp at the ends. It snags you. Like you can run your hand across, it's not going to cut you. So these guys I think it's like 2 or 3 layers of that before you even get to the main fence. And the only guys that can go into that area are trustees, and they're always escorted by a cop. But the cop is letting them bring the drop in. You understand what I'm saying? So then they bring it in, and when they bring it in, we're in the cell busting down cans of bugler, making packs and shit. Bud, like just, dude, you're talking about like tobacco was the biggest boomer back then. He didn't really with weed like that because he's like, they're not going to give me a free world charge for this tobacco, but weed they will. So he was like just a big tobacco guy. That was his thing.
So he has to be making so much money because he's got to be paying off like 5 people just to get the drop in.
Dude, that dude he took care of everybody. There wasn't a person that was around that fool that was hungry. You remember I told you about the 5-gallon buckets, like the ones they sell at Lowe's and Home Depot? Every Friday and Saturday. So when we had canned goods, you had like the barbecue roast beef. They were like $2.20 or some shit. And then the other one was like a Jack Mac, like the mackerel and tuna. To the top, bro. Barbecue roast beef, chili with beans, chili no beans, summer sausage, free world meat, pork, whatever it was out of the kitchen. And you're talking about that much food, bro, soups. That much food, and every weekend he's feeding the whole pod. And then we didn't have ice. Now they have ice in the penitentiary. They got coolers. He would get a cooler from the guard full of ice, and they had like the name brand sodas, and then they had the quarter sodas. They don't sell the 25-cent sodas anymore. And those sodas were actually made in Temple, Texas. He'd have a cooler full of ice with sodas in it, and then they had a cell that was empty, that nobody stayed in the toilet. They would fill it up with ice, and they would have sodas and that. So these, every weekend, the blacks, the Houston blacks, were eating like this in front of everybody. There wasn't a from Houston that starved around that dude, and I'm not lying. In any special holiday, Juneteenth, MLK, whatever, wide open. The cell was always open. Like, you know, like how I told you, like I smoked weed down there sometimes. The first time, the second time I didn't at all. If that fool saw that I was smoking weed, or any of those dudes from Houston before I became affiliated, they would like chastise me. Man, why you doing that stupid ass shit, fool? Think smarter, be a businessman. You getting high the dirty way, you want to risk everything you got right now. You got lockers full of food, you stupid. If you go to close custody, you ain't gonna be doing shit. You're gonna be stuck on 23-hour lockdown. Think smarter, bro. Quit being a stewhead. Quit being a crash dummy. That's what crash dummies do, is smoke weed. You're bringing heat. Dumb. The whole pod smells like marijuana. They ain't gonna care about tobacco, but they care about, you know, the bud. You know, they're gonna bring the dogs in here. Think, show some respect. You know, so
they really schooled you on street game.
yeah, they schooled me like a.
And you hadn't yet been put down with the blacks, technically.
No,
you weren't a blood
no.
yet. You weren't a 5'9" blood. Tell us about the riot that basically gained you guys respect from the essays, from the Mexicans.
Dude, I don't remember who he was. He was a Crip. I just can't remember his name because I would say it. I can't remember his name. He got fronted some bugler, a couple packs. I don't remember if it was a couple packs. I think it was a couple. It was like $40, I think, because a pack of bugler went for 20 cash. And you could make, if you rolled pinwheels, like not big ones, you could make, I think, $100 commissary off of it. And he jacked my homeboy, Baki, who was a Pasadena, Denver lane. He refused to pay. And then I want to say Baki fell out of place over there and he got his ass whooped. And then that dude started bumping saying, I'll jack you, I'll jack any one of you, and started you slob ass. And that's what set off that riot. It set it off on multiple buildings. And my homeboys, that was their own little plan. We didn't have anything to do with that. That was just what they did. When they went to kick it off, this is one of the dudes that put me down. He was a part of this incident right here. They were the ones that did it so G. They had the shanks already ready in the scullery, hidden in the scullery, because on B side, when you go into the chow hall, they lock both doors, so you can't get out. So they knew that these fools were going to be locked in the chow hall with them. So as soon as they went in, they all sat down and they ate. And then when they came up to the scullery, the shanks got past to them and they went in and started sticking them fools up and set off a riot in the chow hall.
And this is black on black.
Yeah, this is black on black, yeah.
This is Houston against...
No, this was the Bloods against the Crips.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of steel did they have in like Texas state prisons?
So
like, is it big knives or is it just little like kind of shit to book somebody?
Dude, like that California shit, I never saw no shit like that in there. Like all I saw was either welding rods, fence, and then at that time they still had the ringer on the mop bucket. So sometimes would get the ringer off the mop bucket. I seen a couple of those bangers, and then the canned goods, because they put the canned good on the thing and they like put like the can openers like a circle like that, and they get the top of the canned good. They'll make it out of that, and that's. Oh, and then the steel toes. You remember when I told you about how they took the steel toes out of the system like regularly because of that when homeboy got his face kicked in, I said his eyes got kicked out. So they would take those, like my cellie that I told you that was TS, and he had a life sentence in the state and the Fed. He wound up stabbing somebody up. I don't know. I don't think he killed him. But he wound up stabbing somebody up, and that's how he wasn't my cellie anymore. He used to get the steel toe, and he'd get a razor, not the one from the razor blade, but you know, in the pencil sharpener, how there's that razor in there, that one's more solid, it's more stiff. So he would cut the tongue out of the shoe, and because it goes like in a half crescent moon over the top, he'd have his hand in like this, and he would cut back and forth until, and he'd bang the steel toe on the ground and push that crescent moon like that. And then he would send it out to one of the vocational classes had a vice grip, and they had put it in the vice, and because it's like that, so they had put it in the vice and they would flatten it out like that. And then they would make that motherfucker that cutter where they could you with that. And they would attach it to something, you know what I'm saying? Like I seen a Mexican dude come up to a dude with one of those where that half crescent moon was attached to something, and he cut this fool's throat in the chow hall. Man, pulled his head back and was hitting him like that, and blood was just coming out. It wasn't like squirting or anything, but he pulled his head back and just was hitting him and pulling his head back. They said he almost decapitated him.
Did he make it or he?
Nah, he killed him. Yeah, that shit was crazy, bro. That fool was brown, and when we got brought out, he was light brown because all the blood was going out of him.
Today's episode is brought to you by Superpower. So here's the deal. I've been dealing with a health issue this past year, and the entire healthcare system is just a nightmare to deal with. I go to an appointment, I get told that everything looks fine, and then I leave without any real understanding of what's going on in my body. I'm sure you have had similar experiences. And that's why I love Superpower. It's cut out the need for me to go to the doctor by like 80 or 90%. They make it so easy. What they do is they draw your blood and they'll look at over 100 different biomarkers. It's literally giving a full body scan, digging deep into what's really going on inside your body. They use licensed professionals who can either come to your home or you can go to a nearby lab and have it done. Then everything gets organized into one app, giving you insights into everything from heart health, hormones, metabolism, vitamin levels, and so much more. What really stands out is that Superpower doesn't just give you results, it helps you understand them. You get a personalized action plan. You could track your biological age over time. They store all of your past lab results in one place, and you can even access an on-demand care team when you have questions. It's like having a doctor on speed dial. Instead of guessing what supplements to take, how to optimize your health, or what to focus on next, Superpower helps you make decisions based on real data. Make this year the year you stop guessing about your health with Superpower. For a limited time, our listeners get $20 off to unlock their new health intelligence. Head over to superpower.com and use code CONNECT for $20 off of your membership. Once again, that's code CONNECT. And after you sign up, tell them that us here at the Connect sent you to support our show. Thank you, Superpower.
Did you yourself ever, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but did you ever have to get involved in something like that? Not a 187, but did you ever have to poke them?
Oh, there was one instance where it was going to happen. I had a free rolled box cutter that it was going to happen, and the Muslims prevented that from happening. And it was Houston Muslims that prevented that from happening. And the only reason why that happened is because the dude that sold me the knife, like I told you off camera, if I'm going to like start some drama, I don't tell nobody, or I might come and tell one person like, hey, can you send this guy to my mom and let her know? Because if you go to lockup, they're going to take all your shit. So I'm like, hey, if I trust you, I'm like, hey, can you send this guy to my mom and tell her what's up? So the dude that I got the box cutter from was a Muslim, and he sold it to me for 5 Jack Mac cans, which is considered $5 in prison. So in prison, anything like 80 cents and above or 85 cents and above, they round up to $1. And I got the box cutter from him. Didn't tell him why I was getting it, but got the box cutter from him. But everybody knew the situation that had already happened. And he went and told some of the Muslims dudes, because I worked out with a Muslim dude named Hitman in there. He's from 3rd Ward. He was a professional boxer. And I worked with him on boxing and working out and stuff like that. He went and told him, because we were workout partners. And I guess he went and told him I bought a shank. So the dude that I was going to cut up was a Muslim. And they came and talked to me, and then they were like, what the is going on? And I'm like, what you talking about? And they're such told us he sold you a box cutter. And I was like, you already know what he said to me. And I was like, so you know what it is. And they're like, we're going to handle that. And then they smashed that fool and excommunicated him for that.
What did he say to you?
He told me he was going to kill me. We had got into it. He used to mug me all the time for some reason. I don't know why. He used to say, what's up to Hitman? He would mug me. So I walked up to him and I asked Hitman, I was like, hey, like, what's up with this fool? Does he have a problem with me? And he's like, he just doesn't like white people. So he was a Muslim, but he was like a Nation of Islam Muslim. So like the regular Muslims in Texas prisons and then the guys that fall up under the Nation, they kind of like, they all go to service together, but there's kind of like I ain't want to say a beef, but he's a Nation. Like the Nation dudes are more like Black Power, more racial, where the regular Muslims, they're not. You know what I'm saying? They're different. So I asked him, did he have a problem with me? He's like, he just doesn't like white people. So this happened for like a couple of weeks of him coming by. We'd be outside working out. It was every time, because he would come back from work right before count, and we'd be on the rec yard, and he would say what's up to him, and then he would just give me this look like I was a bitch. And that shit, I'm a person, like, I stew on shit, bro. So I walked up to him respectfully. So I told Hitman, I said, hey, I was like, are y'all gonna trip if I call him out? He's like, nah, bro, handle your business. Because Hitman was, he was like up in rank with the Muslims. You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, nah, handle your business, just do it right. And I go, okay. So when we came off the rec yard, I went in and I got my gloves on, you know, the leather gloves I told you about. And I came back downstairs, but I had them in my shorts so nobody could see what was up. And I like didn't change my mannerisms, and I just walked up to him and I was like, hey bro, can I holler at you real quick? And he's like, yeah. Pulled him off to the side. I wasn't loud. I didn't do like anything aggressive to like try to like let everybody know what was going on. I just made it look like a regular conversation. And I was like, say bro, I was like, I notice every time you say what's up to Hitman, I was like, you be mad dogging me and shit. I was like, if you got a problem with me, I was like, man, I got my gloves on me. We could just get this shit out the way right now. We can fade the blind spot. We can fade the shower. We can fade your cell. Whatever you talk about doing. I was all like, cause you know, and I just like basically kept it like that. I can't remember everything I said, but I know it was in that. And he goes, I ain't got no problem with you, bro. He's like, that's just how I be looking. And I was like, oh, okay. And I left it at that. So then next thing you know, we come back from last chow. And he's like, hey, look out, Tim. And I look at him. He's like, hey, come here real quick. And I walk over there. And when I walk over there, like I come this way and then we kind of turn. So now the TV is right there. And I remember my cell was up there. And he's talking to me, but I'm so angry because I know he's lying that I'm not even looking at him. Because if I'm already up with you, the more I look at you, I just get angrier. So I'm like looking at him and I'm turning my head like this, looking at him, and I'm breaking eye contact with him. And next thing you know, like when I look at him, like, yeah, like I really don't want to talk to him. And he's like telling me like these excuses, like, man, bro, Hitman talked to me and da-da-da-da-da, and it ain't no beef. And as soon as I turn my head, this fool steals me. Boom, boom. And then he tries to catch me with a third one, and I bounce back. And I look at him and he's like, yo, what's up, bitch, pussy ass white boy? And I looked at him and I grabbed my jaw and I go like this, no blood in my mouth. And I was like, you just stole off on me and you ain't knocked me out? And now everybody's looking. I was like, bro, you just up, fool. So I walk over to my cell, real cool. Get out of my shit. My cellie's in the house. He was a Mexican, a Paisa Mexican. He was in this gang called the Mexicles, but I think now they just call themselves Paisas. So he was a Mexican. I taught him English. Diablo. He had 3 life sentences. Cool as a. I knock on the cell. I'm like, look out, Celly. He's like, ¿Qué onda? I was like, look at my gloves, bro. He already looked at me. He slid them over, and he's all like, and I was like, nah, because that was like how the essays were over there, especially them, that they stayed strapped up. That's just what it was. And put them hoes off, and I always kept my gym shorts. Like I told you, I used to wear like baggy pants, so I kept my gym shorts under me. So I pull everything off, get out of my socks, go straight down to the day room. This like he's like putting his foot up on the table, tying. He's roaring. And I ain't gonna lie to you, bro, this fool had one of the most gangsterous mean mugs I ever seen in my life. And he had a big ass scar across his face, like all the way across his face like this. And he just had a scary look, bro. Like, this is what made me get that knife, because I was scared when he said this. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, like it shook me. I couldn't sleep. So he had his feet up on it. He's like, yo, come down here. I'm gonna beat the out of you. And then when I start coming and I'm putting my gloves on, hit the foot that he had on the stool, he like launches off that, boom, boom, and he tries to kick me. And it caught me off guard because I was walking, but I like stepped back and I pushed his leg down, and he came down and then he dropped back and he got up. And I finished putting my gloves on, and I was just like, this just try to Power Ranger my ass. And we posted up, and I went to piecing his bitch ass up. I just straight blitzkrieged his ass. And when I dropped him, I started stomping him, which that's not allowed. Like as soon as I dropped him, because I was so hot, I started stomping his. And all the blacks come running over there. Oh, they start grabbing me. Everybody starts grabbing me. They're like, you can't do that. They're like, go in the shower. So I run to the 3-row and I go in the shower, and he's just down in the day room. Oh, fuck you, white boy. Ooh, I'm gonna kill you. watch your back. No, I'm gonna come up in your cell. And I'm like, this fool's tripping, dog. I'm like, is this for real? And he was never going home. So, and he had already been locked up like 33 years. So I'm like, man, this fool. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and go downstairs and just beat the out of him until something happens. So, because I don't know what to do. So, because I haven't been in this situation before. So I start coming down 3-row. I come over there and I try to start getting after it with him again, but everybody's getting in between us, the Muslims and shit. Junebug, he's like, nah, Tim, chill out, fool, leave that alone. And he's like, he's just roaring, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm not affiliated yet, so he can just basically get away with talking to me like this. Watch your back. And it's wintertime, so everybody's wearing coats. And in Texas prisons, they give us like these green military-looking coats. So, dude, I can't sleep. I'm stewing on this shit. So I go to the Muslim dude that I know I can get a knife off of, and I'm like, hey, I wait a couple days. Like, I give it a couple days because I'm just like waiting to see if he's going to do something to me. And he's not really looking at me. Nothing's happening. I'm not talking about it because, like, back then, like, talking about something, it could go different ways. Like, if I, so say, say this dude did something, somebody I know, and then me and you were talking about it, that type of gossip. And then you went around to him and maybe brought it up, it could be perceived something different, and now you done got me into a wreck. So, like, talking about somebody behind their back didn't really happen back then. So you really just kind of kept shit boiled in. Kept in because you didn't want things to be perceived the wrong way. So I'm not really asking people I know, what should I do? Is this dude gonna stab me? Because I don't want it to go any further, but I can't sleep. So a couple days pass, and then I go to homeboy to get a knife off of him. And then that's when I get a knife, and then he goes and tells Hitman that I got a knife. Hitman already knows why I got a knife because this fool done told me he's gonna kill me. So Hitman goes to the other Muslims, and they talk about it, and then that's when they come to me. And I was sitting in my cell reading the dictionary. I used to read the dictionary for 2 hours a day. I used to have the dictionary and the thesaurus or whatever. And they came and knocked on my cell door, and I'd put the towel up on the door so nobody would bother me. And he came and knocked on the door. He's like, "Look out, Tim." I was like, "What's up, bro?" He's like, "Come to the door." So I go to the door, do the thing, and then they turn and then they go like this, and the lady pops their door, so all these Muslims fall up in my cell. And he was just like, "Give me the knife." And I was like, "I ain't got no knife." And then he's all like, "Khalil already told me you got a knife. Give me the knife." And I'm looking at him, and then they're like, "Bro, we ain't gonna let you catch no life sentence fool behind no bullshit. Let us handle this. This fool's out of control." So I gave him the shank. I don't know what they did with it, but I know when I was gone at work, they wound up smashing that fool in the shower, and then he wound up catching out, and then I know he was on the unit for a little while longer. He got moved, and then he wound up getting shipped, but I know they excommunicated him for that incident.
So the blacks really, multiple black people really saved your life in many ways throughout your time in the system.
Yeah.
It kept you from getting killed, killing somebody. And this is before you even became a blood.
Yeah.
That's kind of remarkable.
Like, you remember how I told you that they would be hard on me about shit? Like, when I was kind of getting, like, I guess too big for my britches and acting like tough. I wouldn't say I wasn't acting tough, but I was getting a little flamboyant. They would kind of talk to me like I was stupid. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Like, they were like hard on me, like damn near like a drill sergeant kind of. So like, I kind of like had slid back from with them, and I was just like, kind of like do my own thing. They're like, "Timmy, come over here, play chess with me, or come eat." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." And they started noticing it like after like a few days. Then they come over to me, Maceo and them, Fat Mac. He was, "Man, what's up? What up, baby? What, you don't fuck with us no more, fool?" And I was like, "Nah, man, y'all talking to me like I'm a bitch or something, fool." Like, and they were like, nah, you know, We don't want you. We want you to do right, fool. Like, we don't want you to come back here, bro. Like, you're a good dude. You're like a good cat. Like I told you, like people either with me or they don't. And it's usually like 98% they fuck with me. But like, I think the reason why like the blacks with me like that type of way is if God's real, God. If that divine intervention is real, then that's what I'm gonna give it credit to. If it's not that, I think it's just because I have a certain charisma about me, a certain way I carry myself where people just with me. Like I told you, I think I said on the last podcast, when I came in, remember how I told you off camera, like they were gambling? Or I told you they were gambling on dudes when they would come in? One of my homeboys, he had told me, he said, you know why nobody really with you when you walked in? Because when you walked in, you didn't walk like you were hard. You didn't walk too timid. And when I locked eyes with everybody, like I just kind of like skimmed the day room and people looked at me and then I just kind of like turned away. They were like, we could tell by your eyes. You were like, it was like, it is what it is. Like wherever you want to take this shit, we can take it. And he was like, he told me he believed that's why, because he's like, that's why we didn't try you. Because we were like, oh, that white boy's gonna get after it. We can tell. And then I kind of had like a swagger about me. They could tell I was from the hood. So I think they were just intrigued by me, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever regret not going to PC when you had the chance?
Nah, I mean,
what are PC yards like in Texas prisons?
There's no PC yard. Now there is. Like when I was getting, I went on, it wasn't even when I went on medical chain. When I made parole this last time and I was going to the program, I went to McConnell, I think it was, McConnell unit, and they put me on 7 building in transit on H-Pod. And on H-Pod is usually medium custody. But they had on one section, I think it was just one section because there's 3 sections to a pod. It was like a PC pod where there was a bunch of catch-outs. And most of it would look like it was just a bunch of homosexuals over there and a bunch of regular dudes over there. So there are catch-out wings now on big units. On Torres unit, there's not a catch-out wing unless there is now. If you try to catch out, back in the game, you couldn't catch out. There was no such thing as a PC yard. Like could stab you up. And PC was, you lived in segregation. You lived in seg. So nobody knew why you were in seg unless somebody sent word back there that you were in seg because you were you got stabbed up or you got raped or something like that. That's what PC was in Texas. That's why Texas is so different. You can't catch out. Like you can now, you can refuse housing and they'll put you in lockup and then you can keep refusing housing and eventually they'll ship you off somewhere. But then you got to go to that unit and make up a story of why you got shipped there. And there's no inmate to inmate correspondence. So shit don't follow you. Where if you got X'd out on a unit and went to another unit back in the game, inmates could find out where you went because the laws are going to tell us. And they could just send a kite over there and say, hey, get that fool. And then you would just get got on another unit.
Would the administration actually allow like sex offenders onto population yards, population units?
Yeah, well, now if you touch them, it's a case. You can get a free roll case for touching them now. It's like a hate crime or something. They'll give you time for that shit. Mm-hmm. So back in the game, you used to be able to go to the law library and look up people's offenses. You can't do that no more. So people will find out, bro. Like they'll get your number. Well, if you're white or Mexican in Texas prisons, you're giving up that TDC number. Like blacks, they really don't be on that shit. I don't know why. But they really don't be pressing their people if they got sex cases. If they find out, they'll do something about it, but it ain't something they're gonna do. Where whites or Mexicans, you're giving up you're giving it up. You're giving that ID up and they're going and getting on the phone and they're gonna find out everything you've been in prison for. From before, not just now, they're gonna find out everything. That day, you're gonna give it up. That's just what's happening. And then you're getting smashed out. Or they might give you leeway and say, hey, when we go to last chow or when we go to breakfast, get up out of here, depending on what it was. Where with me, like further down the line, when I became a wood, I was the type of that would say, I didn't want to know your case, but if I found, I'd be like, when I would talk to you, and then if you told me you had a sex case, I'd be like, you got to go. I didn't want to know the details, because if I knew the details and I found out that you did something to some little kid, then you weren't going. So to spare you and to spare me from getting a free world charge, I would just say, just tell me now, because I'm going to find out. Like we're going to know you today. So just give me the ID so we can go find out, or tell me the truth. If you got a case. And they'd be like, yeah, I got a case. And I'd be like, okay, bro, at last chow, just don't even unpack your stuff. At last chow, you got to go. And that's it. Don't even try to stay here. I would be more political about it, because I know where I would go with it if I found out that they touched a little kid.
Were there any other crimes besides sex crimes, pedophilia, that could mark an inmate? Like for instance, in Oregon, there was this guy who wasn't a sex offender, but he was just a creep. And, he was in the papers for doing this pretty brutal robbery where he had beat this civilian like half to death. And they ended up killing him in his cell just because they were like, this guy's no good. We don't like that kind of behavior. Were there any crimes like that could get somebody killed or ran off?
Yeah, on Terrell unit, there were family violence crimes that turned into felonies, women beaters, people who had beat women, or if they robbed a place and hurt a woman. Mainly if it had to do with hurting a woman, like with those type of crimes, like they committed a robbery and they hurt a woman in the process. Did something to, usually that's what it was, or an elderly person. If you had assault on an elderly, some type of, you hurt an elder, because in Texas, if you hurt an older person, even on the streets, like they'll give you mad time for that shit. That will get you done in. But I seen a motherfucker get thrown off a 3-row for beating his wife. I guess, I don't know I know it had to do with him beating his wife. He was in there for hurting his wife some type of way. And the guard set that up because he was from either Livingston or some town around Livingston, and they knew who he was, and he showed up on that unit. The guards made that happen. They beat the piss off that fool in the shower and threw him off a 3-row.
What does that mean?
They ran in the shower when he was in the shower. So on the newer units, you got 3-row, 2-row, and 1-row, and there's 2 showers on 3 and 2-row, and then there's 1 on 1-row, and it has like a swinging door that's probably like that. It just blocks the center of your body. And he went in the shower, and the showers are small, bro, and there's 2 showers. So on one side of the shower is like this like concrete, it's not like concrete, it's like some type of like stuff they put over the concrete, like it has sand in it or something. So say he was in the right side of the shower. So you got the left side and the right side. He's in the right side of the shower. So the right side is just the wall, and then the left side is steel. So when you come into the shower, when you open up the door, to the left of the steel, there's a bench right here, and there's supposed to be some like hooks right here for you to hang your stuff. And then you can put your clothes right there. So when you shower and get done, you can dry and change. So it comes in like that, and then it comes off and it goes straight, and then it goes like that again, like a hexagon or however you would say that. And there's a shower head right there. So and then there's a little open area. It's extremely small, bro. And when he went into the shower, they ran in the shower on him. You could fit like, I don't know how they fit 3 cats in there, but they went in there 3 deep, and it was even more than 3 deep when they went in there and just started taking off on him and smashed him. They dragged him. They chunked him off a 3-row.
So they threw him off a 3rd story.
Off the 3rd story.
Tier,
yeah, and he hit the table, and his ass was done for. I don't know if he survived, but I know his ass was unconscious when they took his bitch ass up out of there, and they took their time coming to get that.
And none of the guards got in trouble, I'm assuming?
Nobody got in trouble. That's why Polunsky has the most cameras in the prison system, because all the murders that happened over there.
And you think that usually had some kind of coordination with guards?
Hell yeah. Dude, all them guards were on the take over there, bro. Like, there's dudes over there, I could say their names and say shit about them. Man, there was dudes over there with paper, bro, that were making shit happen. Like what you would say, mafia shit. No lie. No lie. Inmates with pure power. Pure power. There was dudes on death row. Bro, there was a cat that came on the unit that was claiming he was ABT. Now, AB and the ABT don't with each other. But there was a California AB on death row. So so this is when AB was getting segged up. Like the AB, the AC, Mexican Mafia, they were getting segged up. So these two white boys had came over, one of them units that's predominantly, back then it was predominantly white. So they came over, me and the tall white dude, we fought. He was in the Sally Port. So, okay, the rotunda is the hallway that goes around the picket. And like I told you, the picket was in the air. So I'd already been on the unit like 3 years at this time. I was already established, everything, you know what I'm saying? I was already banging all that shit. So he just like kept staring at me. And I think his name was Brandon, tall white boy, goofy looking. And we come back from rec and we're all in the Sally Port talking. And he's all like talking to his homeboys and he says it just loud enough for me to hear it. Yeah, white boys that act black over on he was a McConnell or Connolly. They get smashed out. So I turn around. I was like, what's up, dog? Because like I told you, I got real good ears. Like I can hear shit. I turn around, I was like, what's up? And there's a bunch of us in there. We're all talking fresh off the rec yard, sweaty and shit. I was like, what's up, dog? What the you just say, fool? Oh, I ain't talking to you. I said, no, you talking about white boys get smashed out? I was like, smash me out, pussy. And I started walking up to him. I'm like, smash me out, pussy. Smash. I was like, you in one section, right? I said, yeah, boy, I'm coming over there, fool. I'm coming over there right now. And my homeboys are all looking, so shit, we go over to 3 section. I get my gloves and shit, get the law to pop the door. We go straight over to 1 section. I walk straight over there. I'm like, shit, come on, homie, let's get after it, fool. He ain't got no choice. He's family. He's got to fight. He can't not fight me. So he's like, I ain't fighting you in the shower. I'm gonna fight you under the stairs, which is the blind spot. So we go up under the stairs, but wouldn't even matter because the law already knew what was up. And I beat the shit out this fool. Straight to the body on this too, dog. Threw a dummy to the face, hit him straight in the solar plex. Pop, 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 pop. Folded him like a lawn chair, bro. He didn't have himself a BB. And so I go and sit down on the bench, like the stairs are right here, the blind and like the little blind spot. I sit on the bench and wait for him to get up, and I'm like, you good, fool? And I'm like, you want to do another round? What you trying to do, dog? And he's like, oh, good, let's go again. Let me get my win back. I'm like, bet. Same setup. He fell for the same dumbass shit and folded his ass like a lawn chair again. And I didn't even give him a chance to get another round in. I just looked at him. I said, fool, if you want some more, you got to fall over the 3 section, bro. So like the last podcast, I forgot, it slipped my mind. So I had a brief stint working on the shower crew on death row. And I lost that job. I can't remember why I lost that job. I think they just let some of us go when they switched so when they went from like the 8-hour shift to the 12-hour shift, it was I want to say at this time over there, like the A and B card. And a couple of us, we just lost our jobs. So I just became like a normal SSI. So that AB cat on death row, I don't know how this happened because supposedly they're not supposed to be around, but the one white dude started telling those 2 white dudes that pulled up that he was ABT. Because they're all segged up. So he starts like lying, telling these fools that he's I don't know what he told them and what rank he was, but he basically had these fools following him around for like a couple months, dog, a month or 2. It was a couple months. It was like, I want to say a 3-month span, just trying to kind of think. I remember homeboy who I got into a squad with, me and him got cool. He came up to me on the rec yard and was like, hey, bro, can I holler at you? So I'm like, yeah. So we take off walking the rec yard. But how he's carrying himself, I kind of think he's got a burner on him and he's going to hit me with this hoe. So I'm kind of keeping my different distance. And he was basically almost your height, maybe a little smaller, maybe like 6'2", 6'3", tall, lanky. But he was stupid cool. It's just, you don't see a white. So I didn't have any, it wasn't nothing personal. So he just wanted to tell me like, hey, fool, I respect you. You know, I overstepped my boundaries, blah, 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 blah type shit. And we just got cool. But I think the real reason why he swallowed his pride is because he wanted me to start passing kites to the dude on death row. He's like, I got a homie back there. And then that's when I had even told him, I said, ain't he a Cali AB? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I thought y'all didn't f around. And he's like, nah. Then he said some story I can't remember. So I took a couple kites back there for him, but I was like, there ain't like no, like, there's nothing that isn't like, if it's a kite that's got like some violence on there, like that can get you a case. So I'm like, this is just basic correspondence, right? Because I was like, I'll cut it open and read it. And I have done that before. If somebody asks me to pass a kite, I'll cut it open and read it, especially if it's for a family member, and make sure that it's not like a hit on there or something. So he told me that there wasn't, but I still cut open every one and read it. And it was just basic correspondence type shit. So one day when I went to work, the Cali AB cat, he was like, hey, bro. I'm like, what's up? And I cannot remember that dude's name. He's like, hey, is such and such, you know who he is? I was like, yeah. And I was like, loudmouth motherfucker. He's like, yeah. He's like, dude saying he's saying he's family. He's saying he's my people. I'm like, yeah. I was like, he got them two youngsters following him around like a puppy dog and shit. Like he's some kind of OG or some shit. He's like, I appreciate that, bro. And I was like, hell yeah, bro. I was like, anything you need, I got you. Boom, took off walking. Next thing I know, you got 3 building and 4 building. And then there's a long ass concrete wall that splits them between the two. And because so now there's a guard picket at the end. So they're on the end of the concrete wall, there's chain link fence, and you can talk to dudes on 3 and 4 building. Y'all can talk back and forth. Used to throw like handballs over the thing, and it would be cut open and stuff full of dope and shit. But because there were so many stabbings on the rec yard, they put they call it a gas picket. So there's a picket up there, like a little bird nest that a guard climbs up to and takes a gas gun with them up there and sits in the air and watches both sides. And they'll still let you talk back and forth if they're cool. So, but they hadn't concreted the rec yards yet. So they were over there in the grass talking, and me and my homeboy were on the curl bar curling, and then we're supersetting curl dip. And I remember for some reason it just caught my attention, and I'm watching and I'm reading the body language, and I'm looking how these fools have their hands in their pants. Cause you know, in prison, I don't know if in other states, but in Texas prisons, a lot of times dudes will keep their hands in their pants, talking with their hands in their pants. And I'm looking and I'm just, something just seemed off about the conversation. I don't know what it was, the body language. And next thing you know, I see them taking him further under that picket, that bird nest, so the dude can't see down. The fat dude's right here, the tall white boy's right here, and they got the white boy, the older dude, he's facing me. Like, so I'm basically where you're at. And next thing you know, I see the white dude in like this. He's facing them, like facing right here, and I see him like kind of like turn back. The motherfucker comes out. Wow. They just start hitting this. Boom, 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 boom. Started busting him on the rec yard. And that dude was trying to take off running. Homie chased him down and like did some goddamn Michael Myers shit to this and stuck the out that. But he lived though. I know for a fact he lived. I think they had welding rods. Because it was real skinny. Whatever they were hitting him with was like welding rods.
So what do you think that was over?
That dude claiming he was AB and he wasn't.
It's that simple.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was behind.
And do you think, you know, that obviously they've put cameras everywhere because all these homicides and attempted murders and shit. Were people getting away with some of these bookings back in the day?
Yeah, man, from 2000 to 2002 for sure, all the time. You remember the first stabbing I told you about, where homie hit him in the Sally Port, and then they brought him. They didn't get that fool. That fool was still down there. I saw him on the next spot over, still down there like nothing. Because there was no, bro. You didn't tell it back then, dude. Everything was like. if you heard some people fighting and you turned around and looked, if somebody was watching, like they had somebody watching, they'd be like, what the f you looking at, fool? What's up? You trying to get it? Like, this your business? Like, if you heard fighting, you didn't even look. You just kept looking at the TV or whatever. And just, that's one of the reasons, like I told you, I used to stand on the wall all the time. But to answer your question, bro, until like that Priya shit started really taking effect, yeah, bro, there was no dry snitching. Like, dude, there was dudes, and if they, like it, yeah, they got away with that shit all the time.
And going back to the violence committed by the guards, did you ever hear of any other incidences? Did you ever get up by the guards?
No, so I had guards me over all the time, like on lockdowns. They wouldn't give me Johnnies. I had guards write bogus cases on me, getting me, you know, that's how I spent so much time on medium custody and closed custody was guards, the white guards, writing bogus cases on me. I tried to have some one-on-ones with the guards, but that never happened. But I've seen plenty of guards get after it with inmates and fight inmates one-on-one or pay other gangs to do shit to inmates. But I never personally fought any guards. But go ahead.
Tell us about those one-on-ones.
Oh, dog, especially on closed custody, fool. They'll tell them to take their shirt off. I don't know why that matter. Take your shirt off, because they claimed if you took your shirt off, that no longer meant you was an officer. But they'd get back and forth to guards, so they'd pull your cellie out, and then closed custody, everywhere you go is in handcuffs. So you remember how I told you the shower, it had like the little door that could just like protect this? Well, the door was like a full cage. So when they put you in the shower, they can lock you in the shower. So they'd take your cellie down to the shower, lock you in the shower, take their shirt off, and go in there and start thumping with the inmates one-on-one. Just all that was a regular thing. That happened a couple times a week on closed custody, guaranteed. If the multi-purpose, so there's a room called the multi-purpose room, right? It's also called indoor rec. So there was 2 TVs in there. They never called indoor rec. And then there was another area called passive rec. So dog, this is crazy. Have you ever seen that movie called Felon? So when you came out and you went through the rotunda, I think it was still in the rotunda. There was a door, you went outside, and it was an area kind of shaped like a triangle, but the other type of triangle where this end is longer than the other. I forget what that's called, like that. And all it had in it was a bullshit pull-up bar. Some of them had like a basketball rim drilled into the concrete, and it had a big-ass curb. Bro, if you had a problem with the law or even an inmate, and you wanted to thump with that fool, you could tell the law to let you go to passive rec, and they would gamble on the fights. All the time. That happened all the time before Priya. On medium custody, they called it the multi-purpose room or indoor rec. You could go in there, the laws would lock the door, and they would, like me and you could go in there and thump, and they would gamble on it.
So like the gladiator fights they used to have in California prisons.
Yeah, and they were gambling on it. They were that shit was happening over there. Tough.
So when would somebody win? When another dude gave up, or would he have to TKO him, or?
Just depended. It depends. Like dudes over there could fight good, so they would go for rounds. If a TKO happened, I mean, you got to give a dude a chance to get his money back. So if he wakes up and you still want to get after it, then, you know, if they still wants to get after it, then he wants to get after it. You see dudes fight, get winded, sit down for a second, then get up and be like, come on. Or until if they were just fighting for a long time and the guard got tired to say, hey, pop the door, hey, y'all, it's done. And there's blood everywhere. These fools are thumping. Like, that's how it gets. Yeah, that's how it was getting down over there.
So you went from maximum security. They call them, it's different here. It seems like they call it custody rather than security. They use different vernacular, I've noticed, in Texas than other states like California. Mm-hmm. It's really distinct. That is a very Texas thing to do. Yeah. You guys got your own flavor, your own thing. So you went from, tell us like the journey from going from maximum security to medium custody.
Like going from the worst custody to a better custody.
Terrell unit, Polanski, down to a less serious prison.
Well, I mean, Terrell and Polanski are the same one. So if you're just talking about different custody levels on that unit, or are you talking about? Because Terrell's maximum security all the way around. It doesn't even matter if you're on the dormitory, you're a S2 or something. It's still maximum security. It's like if you go to the dorms are like, they're not off the unit, but they're further out and you get like more freedom. Like they had like horseshoes out there. They had a basketball outside. Their outside basketball goal didn't have like a roof over it. You know what I'm saying? They had weights inside. They had an indoor gym. They could shower whenever, well, you could shower whenever you wanted to, but lockdown, they had more freedom. They just had more freedom to do what the that they wanted to do. That's all that was. There was really like no gang politics out there because once people got out there, they're just trying to chill and do their time. But as far as like custody levels is concerned, you got A side and B side, and A side is the same custody. It's just a different living situation. And B side is medium and closed custody. So they're basically the same thing, except it's closed custody. You go everywhere in handcuffs and you never leave the cell. And then they bring you your chow. Medium custody, you do go to chow, but they're supposed to let you out for 4 hours a day room. But like I told you before, they might not do that. Like they might come out and say chow out for chow. They let you come out. And because maybe your building was the last one or your pod was the last one to go to chow, they count that as your day room because something might have popped off in the chow hall. Like I told you, in Texas prisons, the chow hall is a dangerous place to be at. So you might, be on 7 building iPod 3 section and G pod went first, then H went first. The next, H pod kicked off something in the chow hall. They gassed the chow hall. Now all that food on the line is bad. They got to throw it all away. They got to clean it all up. So it might be a few hours before you even go to chow. And next they say, oh, that's your day room. And you're like, bitch, I didn't even get to shower. You ain't showering today. So you just got jacked. But cool laws, like the ones that are cool, if they say out for chow, you bring all your stuff out with you because you might get like some whole laws will be like, nah, leave your shower shit inside. You ain't taking no shower. So it really just depended on who was working, how that went down.
It's so crazy to me that such a organized professional prison, like at that time, that's a prison where the inmates are on like professional time. You don't dry snitch. You don't even raise your voice because the violence is so serious. There's no need to raise your voice. I'm going to come and stab you. It's crazy to me that they would kick stuff off in the chow hall. I've heard that that's just neutral. Everywhere I've heard about people doing time, the chow hall is always neutral because that's where you eat.
Yeah.
So why does Texas do it differently?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like the first violence that I saw in the chow hall was, you remember I told you that white dude that got stabbed up at the scullery? That was the first violence that I saw in the chow hall. And then after that, I saw several riots in the chow hall. Like several motherfuckers set it off in the chow hall like all the time. All the time. The cook, the guys behind the line might have did something. That's why they there was like a metal deal over so you can't see who's putting what on the food on B-side chow hall because we're hopping that line to whoop on the line so much. They put a cage up and they did it at Torres unit too when I went back and I went to Torres unit, and it's a cage that goes all the way up and locks into the ceiling because jumping over the line and getting after it with behind the line they think they them over on some food, or they might be like, hey, give me some extra something, and dude's like, I'm not even on that, I'm on the carrots. And then he calls them all pussy ass, molly, police ass. Then next thing you know, you hoe, and then now it's on.
So you've been in the chow hall getting gassed
several times
as they're stabbing up somebody.
Yeah, several times when the essays, especially when the essays, the essays, like when the TS and the Mexican Mafia were out, bro, they're lighting up all the time, like several multiple incidences. Like when they were going to war at one point in time, I don't know why, but after like this era, like there was none out in population. If they were flying under the radar because the blast had went to war with the TS too. And basically what was left of them, ran them, like got rid of them, aired them out. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't really that many of them left. But shit, dude, there were, my next door neighbor was a TS, and I thought his celly was a pistolero. Bro, they stabbed each other up. One of them had got a kite. They were so cool. So on 7 and 8 building, because, you know, they stack, when they build tall walls, they stack them on top of each other, right? And then there's like rebar that goes in them. So they put like that concrete putty to seal them up. Well, on 7 and 8 building, those holes aren't sealed up. So you can put like toilet paper or like a hot sauce cap in the deal. So say you live next door to me, I could pull my cap out and I could hit that suction and shoot that deal off. I could be like, yo, look out, Johnny. Ooh. So like, say I might be like, man, you got some hot water over there? Say I didn't have a hot pot or some shit. Or just say we have a spread and we only have one hot pot. My celly don't have one. So I could be like, hey, can you put some hot water on me for me, bro? And you would say, yeah. So say you had an empty Colgate tube of toothpaste, right? The long Colgates. You would have it empty. You would fold it like that, pinch it up so it's pinched up like that. You would stuff it through that hole and pour hot water and it would funnel through to me on the other side and I would heat up a soup like that. So one of those dudes had got a kite to stab the other one. And we were on close custody and they had so much respect for each other that they both laced up and went hand-to-hand combat in that cell. So you know how it is, bro. You hear, but it's when the shank is sticking, it's like like you hear that skin pop off bone. Like one motherfucker hit you right here, bro. Like he ain't piercing through your bone. Like it's hitting and bouncing off type shit. So I'm hearing that pop, pop. I'm like, what the? So I pull my toilet paper out and I go boom, and I hit it and I shoot off and I look and these pop, pop, pop. Getting it with each other, just doom, 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 just hitting each other, going back, the blood's getting all over the wall. They stabbed each other up. When the laws finally came and walked around to do this, I think it was a security check. They were both on the ground. They brought them both out on the stretcher life board deals. And they weren't even conscious, I don't think. Like that's how like brutal those two were. That's how bowdy they were. Like when I looked in that hole, they're going back and forth, hitting each other like this, pow, 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 like that, like holding like some hockey players holding on to each other, sticking each other, pushing back and forth all over the cell. That's exactly what happened. That dude, I'm looking through the hole and them fools are sticking each other. Dude, I saw a TS cat on closed custody chase 4 black dudes around the day room with a knife. They could have jumped them. We're coming in from rec. Like I told you, when you go to rec, they don't take you in handcuffs unless they changed it. The black dudes did something to disrespect him on the rec yard. I don't know what it was, but what I can tell you about them family members is they're stupid huge on respect. They don't even talk about it. That motherfucker went up in his cell because they popped the cell. The law was cool, so when we came in, he just unlocked all the doors at the same time. So running, getting the shower, getting their shower shit, all that type of shit. That fool came out with the blade, and it was Crip dudes. He came down off 2 row and just walked up to one of them and started hitting him from the back. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm standing up on 3 row because I got next on the shower. And this shower right here was a blood shower. So he hit him. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, God damn. So the 3 other Crips that were right there, they don't even try to help this fool. They take off running. So now the law, after all the commotion, so the Mexican dude, he's not even talking. He's stalking after these fools, not saying shit. Homeboy's laying on the ground, folded up, leaking. He's walking around, so finally the law sees it. He starts yelling, man, y'all rack it up. So he calls the other laws, so the other laws come in, and you remember that fogger I told you about that was like a weed leaf blower? They got the fogger. So the door, the entrance door, it's mechanical, but there's a bean slot on it. So they pop the bean slot, they shove the fogger through the thing, and they're like, everybody who's not a part of it, like rack up. Because I guess he had already told them it's just that dude chasing them. So everybody gets in their cell except for the Mexican and those 3 black dudes and the 4th one that's on the ground. So they're all 3 in the day room because they're running up on the rows and shit, like trying to get away from this. Right? So this is how slick the SA is. So the pod, it comes to the center like this. So you come up the stairs this way, it's 4 rows of cells, the 2 showers, if you're on 2 row, and then it splits this way. So that's how it's shaped. So the SA in the middle, so you got 1, 2, and 3 section. On 1 and 3 section, there's only 1 row of stairs. You go up, go to the end, come back. On 2 section, there's a set of stairs here and a set of stairs there. So he comes down this set of stairs, and I'm right here in 63 cell. No, I'm on 2 section, 45 cell. Yeah, I'm in 40, yeah, because 45, yeah, I'm in 45 cell. He comes down, he comes to like the center. So the black dudes come down and they come over here and they're telling him, lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. So the Mexican dude, he lays down, but he never lets go of the knife. Like he lays his palms flat, but the knife is still under his hand. So the one black dude stays by the stairs and he lays it down, but they keep saying, come out to the day room so we can see you. So the one fool, he gets up and comes over there. He lays down there like, now put your hands behind your back. These fools immediately put their hands behind their back. This fool gets up and rushes that fool. Boom, 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 boom. Gets him up against the plexiglass, just starts lighting this fool up all right here, dog. I'm talking about you saw blood shoot out of his mouth all over the plexiglass. Dog, I'm talking about got on this so fast, hitting that fool with that. Like, yeah.
What do you think it is culturally about black people or black people in Texas, black inmates, that is less violent than the white cars and the Mexican cars? Because clearly, like the Mexicans and the whites were about that murder game, that's stabbing you until you're bleeding out of your neck. The blacks weren't really like that overall. It doesn't sound like it.
No, they weren't.
What is that?
I don't even think they're like that on the streets. You don't hear about a lot of, I could be wrong, you don't hear a lot about them stabbing people. Like maybe like some black dudes from like Haiti or Africa or some shit there. But I think they're not built, shooting somebody is their thing, their game. You understand what I'm saying? This is where I learned about the psychology of the human mind. So back in the game, right, I knew blood dudes and I knew Crip dudes that had like 4 or 5 bodies on them. But they wouldn't fight. They wouldn't stab. They weren't built like that. So they were with us, but they had money, so they were paying protection. So they were paying protection because they weren't built like that. But then you had dudes who would fight all day long, but as soon as somebody pulled a pole out, they didn't want no smoke. Like my homeboy Gangster that I told you about that I used to slap box with that had 375 years. Gangster was about that murder game. That fool was about that. That fool was about that life. He taught me how to make a shank. So I'm gonna send you some videos of this shit. So on closed custody, right? Because the radio service is so bad, they'll take magazines or newspapers, right? And they'll roll them into tight ass spears, and they'll put like headphone wire or old headphone wire on it, and they'll stick it out the window to get radio service, right? But also the windows, they're like a rectangle like that, and you crank them open, but there's thick, like about that thick square bars. They're thin, but they're wide. So you can't get out the window. But dudes will take those, they call them spears. They'll take them, they're so good, you're locked in the cell all day long. They'll tie a string to it and they'll launch them to the next building. They'll keep launching them until they'll do it all day until they get it through that window. And you'll see pulling like clotheslines on the East Coast, pulling bags of coffee, pulling shit across the unit like that. Bro, so in Texas prisons, they have this thing, they have it in like the officer's dining room. It's liquid sugar. It's like sweetened sugar. Me and Gangster were cellies. He took sugar, made it into a thick ass paste, had that magazine paper all laid out flat and smeared it over the magazine paper. Then took the liquid sugar and squirted it all over it, turned around and rolled it into a tight ass spear so the end is kind of thick, and then he puts an indention in it in case he wants to shoot it. So he made one like that long, tied it into a tight ass spear, let it sit for a couple days and get rock hard, and then did the same thing to the outside of it. And he's like, bro, I'll get like 5 pokes with this, or I'll just they'll take the thread at the lining out of the boxers, and they'll make a goddamn crossbow with that bitch and whop and light your ass up with that shit. I seen somebody do that shit on death row, shoot somebody in the neck with the spear like that.
And it penetrated it?
Yeah, that shit's hard as a rock. That sugar, it just locks up so goddamn hard, and it gets your ass, dude. You know. And I mean, I saw a gangster do this. He got some styrofoam cups out of the infirmary, and he had a lighter, and he took a styrofoam cup and just like lit it and melted it down into a quick banger. He got a Free World toothbrush off a guard, a real one. He took the plastic off the ramen noodle soup, so the bristles, he kind of melted them and pressed them down so they were stuck together like that, and he layered the ramen noodle plastic thin, just lit it like he did a layer, lit it, stuck it together, lit it, had sandpaper, lightly sanded it like the real fine sandpaper, lightly sanded it, and he kept doing that until he had a straight razor out of that hoe.
It's ingenious.
Yeah, like everybody knew, like he was like the one black dude. Now, I tell you what, black dudes, when I was down there, that if they were going to play with steel, they would play with steel, was Texas versions of the Black Guerrilla family, which is the Mandingo Warriors. And we had a peace treaty with the Mandingo Warriors on Terrell unit. So we had a handshake that we did with them where we had grab each other by the arm like this and then come and go like that and hug each other. There was a Mandingo Warrior over there. So if there's dudes on the unit like Hitman that I told you about that was a real professional boxer, and me and him were training on the rec yard fighting, they made us stop training because they could have segged him for teaching me how to really fight, because he was for real with it. Like, he was a real known professional boxer that murdered somebody in a drug deal gone bad. That was his nickname in the ring, was Hitman. So they made us stop training because he was real with this shit. So there was a black dude, he came, I think, from Coalfield. And the Mandingo Warriors, he knew Kung Fu. And he was for real with it. I watched, dude, I'll tell you the story. This is crazy as fuck. He had all these on 7 building on the rec yard, lined the up, militant than a bitch, doing workouts, shit, doing like blocks and shit like that. And they got into a riot with the Mexicans on the rec yard. Bro, I watched him. He probably up 10 Mexicans. I ain't lying to you. They said he knew like some type of voodoo that people couldn't shake him from the back. He had some type of voodoo, but he was from he was from one of those black islands. He had an accent. He was light skinned, and me and that dude were stupid cool. They segged him up after that riot. He had him on the rec yard. They would come down and film with the camera and film him, and he'd be walking back, pacing back and forth. Slim dude ripped the up, and their sign, I don't think they'll get pissed off, but they know the tattoo in prison, so I ain't ratting nobody out. It's a shield, like a diamond shield with like the spears coming from behind. So they're called the Mandingo Warriors. Now, some of them would play with steel, but what I can say about them at that time is they were about that action. They were serious. And they were about that action. And one of them actually got my back in a fight on medium custody. I got into a fight with the black dude from Killeen, and I whooped him in the shower. And then the other dude came to try to sneak me when I came out of the shower. And that black dude, just so that Mandingo Warrior just so happened to be on 3 row and slept that fool when he came up to sneak me from the back. And then we ran up. I wound up getting him in a one-on-one in the cell. We went 3 rounds, and then my homies went in there and went in the cell on him too. And then he wound up catching out.
So, what year was it? How deep into your stretch when you became a 5'9" blood? Tell us about that initiation. I know you told us on the first episode you did, but it's so incredible. I'd like to hear it again.
So, like, when I got moved to G-Pod, I got into a fight. This law lost his ID. You remember when I told you that the Crips and the folks were whooping all the rank and shit? So there was a sergeant in there named Sergeant Sherman or Sherwin. I can't remember. Big ass country white boy, right? somehow he had his hands in the handcuffs. So he started like coming down. There was a little Crip dude. He was a Dixie Circle Crip named Lil Dicky. I think his name Lil Dicky. He was like 5'3". Man, that dude was stupid cool. So he had him up against the fence, was trying to shake him down, and Lil Dicky was going back and forth, and that he like came off the fence. He shut him on the fence, so he just started coming down with them handcuffs on top of him. So that set off where they were, dude, I think they were fighting with the laws like a year and some change. So they were coming down to the rec yards, and they were filming the rec yards. So anybody who was wearing like tight whites, all the shit, they put them on G-Pod. Well, that racist white lady wrote that bogus ass case on me, Miss Ring, saying I threatened her and everything else. So they took my job and they put me on G-Pod. So then they moved in this Crip dude that nobody liked named C-Loke. That's what he called himself, but nobody liked him, this Five Deuce cat. So me and C-Loke, because that law act like he lost his ID. I mean, he act like he left his ID at home. They locked the farm down, shaking everywhere down, looking for this identification card. So I packed my shit like after like 3 days. I had a visit with my mom and I was like, hey, and I usually don't say shit like this to my family, but I had to tell her because I didn't want her driving 5.5 hours to come and see me and then I'm behind the glass because I was still having a contact visit with her. So I told her, I said, hey man, don't come back. Because I knew I was going to go to medium custody or closed custody for this event because I had just had a major case. So I was like, hey, I'm about to fight my cellie, don't come back. And then she tried to talk me out of it. And I was just like, hey, look, let's just enjoy our 4-hour visit, and it is what it is. I'll write you when you can come back up here. Like, you're out here, I'm here type shit. So when I went back, I packed my shit up. Boom, me and that fool catch scratch. And the sergeant he was like, I won't take you to lockup if you'll move back in the cell with him. Now, this is a key thing, bro, for when I got put down, since we're allowed to go in depth. When I refused to go back in the cell with him, some people looked at that as a catch-out move because I didn't go back in the cell with him. But the rule is, if you lose, you have to leave. And he refused to leave the cell. But people were trying to say, some of the Bloods were saying, well, the law gave him the option to go back in the cell, and he refused to go back in the cell. But that came up when they went to put me down, like, well, that fool caught out. But I smashed him. I whooped him. He was supposed to leave. So those dudes that were politicking against me for catching out, those were like the first dudes that I fought because they were trying to speak bad on my name. So I wound up going to medium custody for that. So my cellie was this blood fool who was been locked up. He's from Dallas for shooting a cop. My boy Ty. He was crazy. What's crazy is he whooped every cellie that he had, no matter what color. This is how throwed off this fool is, because I said this in the last podcast. I said he's cool, but he was a little throwed off, and I didn't get to go into the story on why. I'm going to tell you why. So he did 20 day for day for shooting this cop. They had gave him a life sentence, but he went back on appeal, beat some part of the charge, and got it down to 20 years. He did 20 day for day. I think he did it all on Coalfield, and he did like the last year or 2 years on Terrell. So this fool was so throwed off, he had a sock that he colored black, and he had a sheet that he colored black. And when he would get a cellie in the cell he didn't like, he had wrapped the sock around it. He'd cut 2 eyeballs out of it. He had tied it around his head and look out the eyeballs, and he had put the cape on and start beating his cellie at night, and he called himself Black Man. Hand to God, this is real shit, dog.
That's hard.
Bro, this fool was, man, so I don't know none of this until later on because like I told you, people didn't talk behind people's backs. So me and this fool used to stay up all night playing chess together. But when we would go to the day room, he wouldn't really go with none of the Bloods. He would go and stand on the wall and he'd just chill. He didn't really talk to people. But he took a liking to me. So when that Crip fool hit my boy P-Stone in the face with that lock, and I told you that they started having all those one-on-ones and shit, people started calling each other out, and then I tried to fight one of the Crip fools for hitting P-Stone with the lock, and he just wound up giving me a pass. They all gave me a pass, because really I should have got the brakes beat off me by the Crips for that. But like I told you, there's something about me that people will with me. So they just gave me the pass. And Slim was still there. And everybody knew about how Slim and Ugly Buddy spoke up in that event in the furniture factory. So I still had that weight with the Crips. And the Crips knew, this is the crazy thing, because I grew up with Crips in Ohio and I lived on the block with Crips and I knew Crips, I used to joke with the Crips and I would walk up to them. Even after I got put down with blood, I would walk up to them like, what's up, cuz? Like, just with them. And I was just that type of dude that people with, bro. So I could get away with a lot of shit where people might be like, oh, that fool's lying. I could have my homeboy call from the phone right now. I could have texted him and had him call right now when I was here so you could talk to him. Like, that's just how people with me. I had that type of gift of the gab that I could get away with maybe most that others couldn't get away with type shit. So after the incident with P Stone happened when he hit him with the lock, there was a meeting on the rec yard because they used to all fuck with me anyways. I used to lock up with them. What's up, Damu? What's up, homie? Woo, shit like that. So we were out on the rec yard, but everybody was like, what are we going to put him down with? So there was a blood from Temple that was a Denver Lane. Me and this fool were super tight. He wanted me to get down with him, but Denver Lane is a Cali set. Pasadena, Denver Lane's the Cali set. 5'9" Bounty Hunter is not no Cali set. No matter what people in the comments on that YouTube video said, that's not real. So my homeboy Nairobi from Waco, him, my homeboy Fleabag, my homeboy Juice, they wanted to put me down with 5'9" Bounty Hunter because Nairobi is like, he's from the 254. There's a bunch of 5'9" Bounty Hunters there. We want them. So that's when other dudes were starting to say, well, he caught out. He caught out here. Smut, you know who you are. No, he caught out. He fought that fool and didn't refuse to go back in the cell. So as soon as they said that, I was basically quiet the whole time because you already know in prison, you have to pick your words wisely. So this meeting that's going on, I'm not talking the whole time. I'm just listening. And then as soon as he's like, oh, well, he caught out. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was all like, well, shit, if you think I got that pussy, let's get after it, fool, right now. Right now. The laws already know what's up. They're letting us have the meeting on the rec yard. We're the only ones out there in the morning after breakfast. We're not even supposed to be out here. It's still dark because it's cold outside. The sun's not up. So I'm like, let's get after it right now. And then I slipped back into the old Tim on the streets and I used the N-word. There was a couple times in prison that I slipped up and used that word. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? Da-da-da. And then everybody's like, and then I was like, oh shit, my fault. Just kind of looking, and it kind of like, I guess it kind of broke the tension because fool's like, damn, fool's wild in a bitch. Fool just used the N-word like that. So he's like, yeah, we'll get after it back on the pod, homie. And I'm like, the pod, like now. Let's do it now. So when I was like that, everybody's like, oh, this fool's standing on business. So we start falling out of place, basically down to G-pod. And I'm like, hey, fool, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is? Let's get over here. Let's get it where you want to get it at. You want to get it in the day room. You want to get it in the cell, get it in the shower. The laws already knew what was up. So we were waiting for, I think it was A card because that was the sergeant that Nairobi was cool with. He was the one letting us fall out of place to catch this paper. And then slowly people started that were maybe on the fence about me. They started fucking with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm falling out of place to catch this paper. And then after I had caught enough paper, I guess, in Nairobi's eyes, after I would come down there to catch paper, he would be like, after you fight him, you got to fight me. So now we got to fight Nairobi. And this fool's got like one punch knockout power. Like he's built like that. He fool just knock your dumb ass out. But what really solidified me with them, which is crazy because me and this dude didn't even fight. So I used to get the XXL magazine. I sent this fool every time I got the XXL magazine. I let all the homies get the magazine back, and then I saved them. I saved all of them because my mom bought them for me, and she was broke, and her giving me that XXL magazine meant a lot to me. So the XXL magazine comes up missing. So I'm like, a homeboy from Temple said he coming down there, the Denver Lane cat. And this dude's got hands. Like, he most likely would have beat my ass. I'm sure he would have. He should have beat. If I would have won, I shouldn't have won. So we'll just keep it like that. So he comes down, and so I'm like, hey, bro, where's my XXL magazine at? And he's steady giving me these excuses about the magazine. So I found out that he done sold the magazine because it was a limited edition to somebody on closed custody. He done sold my magazine. So I'm talking to Ty about it. The whole time, I don't know that I'm in the cell with Ty. A couple months are going on. He's coming to these meetings, but he's not speaking on whether I should be put down or not. When they ask him, they're like, you're a cellie, what do you feel about him? He's like, I don't really care either way. I'm about to go home. But he told me later on, the whole time, every night we had been in the cell together, he had been debating whether he should put the mask on and become black man and attack me. This is why I say he's throwed off, because the whole time he's playing chess with me, he's thinking about beating the out of me in my sleep. But he admits it to me. So I find out he sells the magazine. So I'm talking to him about it. I'm sitting in the cell and I'm like, man, fool. I was like, when homeboy comes down here tonight, I'm gonna get at this fool. He's like, all right, bro. And he's like, well, you already know what's up. If you get after him, what's up? And I was like, yeah, I already know. So homie comes down there, he knocks on my cell. What's up, Tim? That's how he talks. What's up, Tim? And I'm like, man, don't what's up me, fool. He used to come down on the shower crew. And he's like, what you saw? I said, bro, I found out you sold my magazine on closed custody. I got the magazine back. It's all bent up and I'm pissed. I was like, I got it back, fool. You sold my magazine. What kind of hoe ass shit is that? I thought me and you were supposed to be tight, fool, since day one. We're going back and forth. And he's like, man, you tripping over some petty ass shit like that. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, bro, come down here when they call pill window, because they usually call pill window then breakfast. I said, come down here when they call pill window, and we gonna catch Scratch before breakfast over there in the blind spot. Because I didn't want to fight him in the shower or the cell, because I knew he'd beat my ass. So I wanted to give myself some wiggle room to be able to not get knocked the out. So he's like, all right, bet, and he walks off. So you remember how I told you about that dude that had got one of my homeboys from Stop 6 that had gave that fool them stop signs and then like took that fool's booty in the cell and shit like that? He's down on the pod. So everybody comes out, right? This fool done went around all night politicking with everybody, telling everybody, basically building the audience that he's gonna beat the shit out of me. Now I done already been fighting for like 3 months now, so everybody knows I'm about that. And I'm not no slouch with the hands. So
fighting like dozens of these blood gang members at this point.
Yeah.
And when does it stop? Like, when does
Nairobi stopped after this?
Okay, so does Nairobi tell you, like, do you know that you're almost about to be put down?
I was already put down. I was already locking up. The only thing that was different was if somebody said they had a problem with me locking up, or if we met out on the rec yard, if we were in the chow hall, or if we fell out of place and I came over there and y'all were all over here and I'm locking up with y'all, and then he's like, I go like, what's up, homeboy? And he don't want to lock no bees with me, then me and him got to get after it.
Okay, so it was only the people that didn't like you.
Yes.
That didn't like that you were about to be a blood member.
Yes.
That you had to fight.
So when they voted, the yays outweighed the nays. But when they said, well, how are y'all going to do it? Are y'all going to 59 them? What y'all going to do? And then Nairobi was like, nah. And I was saying, for you, I know you're going to block, but I'll just say how he says, he's like, nah, every that got a problem with my homeboy, he going to fade every single one of y'all. So I'm like, oh my God, yes. I'm in it now. Here we go. You know what I'm saying? It's like 50, 60 of us out here, dog. And there was a lot of that didn't like that shit. So I'm like, how is this going to happen? So I'm looking at him and I can't be like, oh, like I'm just sitting there like nonchalantly, like, okay, it is what it is. So he's sending me kites. Hey, fool, we got to fall over here. Got to look at such. You know what I'm saying? Because there was dudes pressing the issue, like still talking about it. So that's basically kind of how it went. Like, it wasn't like I just fell out of place and was like, oh, you said you didn't want to see it. There was dudes pressing the issue about it. And then we're always linking up because 7 buildings wild. So we'll get out, I'll fall out of place. We'll go down to G-Pod, go down here. Hey, what's up, homie? And I'm like, I ain't locking up with you, fool. Fuck you. I ain't locking up with that fool. Fuck that fool.
So this whole process has taken like months.
Yeah. It's like, I'm thinking it's never ending. And I done got so used to it that I was kind of feeding off of it.
Right.
You know what I'm
Are
saying?
you getting better at fighting?
Hell yeah.
Is your
yeah.
confidence growing?
My confidence was growing, and I'm working out every day. And then me and Ty have gotten, so right up to the incident where that basically everybody stopped having anything to say about anything. Me and this fool would get bored, and we'd be working out in a cell, and we'd start going to the body on each other. So we're just in the cell, because one day he smacked me in my stomach, and then I was just like, and sometimes that's how people will test you. They'll want to see, like, how you listen, what's up, fool? Let's go to the body real quick. A lot of the times, there's dudes that are doing that. They're trying to see where you're at. You know what I'm saying? They might, we'll just do like 30%. Then they sneak something in real hard to see if they can fold you. That's a penitentiary game. So he had been locked up almost 20 years. You got to think, it's only 03. So he's been locked up since the 80s. When taking booty was cool. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm a white boy trying to hang out with blacks. He's got an old mentality. You know what I'm saying? So when he smacked me across my stomach, my response was, he's testing me. So when he went, bah, hit him back, boom. Oh, what's up, fool? What's up, fool? What's up, fool? What's up? Boom, boom, boom. We just start going to the body. So it's like that type shit. I got to be, my survival mind frame, people aren't understanding this mind frame, bro. I got to be on 10 toes, 24/7. Every little slip, every little funny look, I'm taking it as, and this is, bro, imagine living like that. And every day you come out, you're wondering what's next. That survival instinct. I'm not sleeping good. You already don't sleep good in there because the way they wake you up. It's like every day I'm like, what's next? What drama's next? What's this? What little slight am I going to have to answer for? Oh, well, he said that, which way? How'd you mean that? He might not even have meant it no way, but because I'm knowing I got to prove myself and probably insecure at the same time and all these other things, I'm over here calling out for no reason. You know, like, and now they got to fight because they might be in something, they might be banging, and they're like, you know, I'm like, hey, fool, I pull them out, hey, fool, you said this shit, you think I got that pussy? You know what I'm saying? What's up, fool? Let's get after it type shit. So I'm having to be like that, like on one basically all the time, bro. And so this fool's telling everybody all night, and the TV's not on, so you can hear this dude talking. He's talking to where I can hear him. I'm gonna slap this, I'm gonna beat this white boy. Woo, I don't sleep all night. So they come in, they do pill window and chow. And what's weird is they do 1 row first. Everybody comes out. Then they go to 3 row. Everybody comes out. I'm on 2 row. So they do 2 row last. And when they do 2 row, they're popping my cell. My cellie the whole time, this is how this fool sleeps. He sleeps in his shoes every night. Fully dressed every night on his back. That's how he sleeps, and he stays on the top bunk. So I'm thinking he's asleep. So I'm standing in the door, and there's a table right here. And I'm in, my bad, I'm in 50, hold on. That's 49. 40, I'm in 35 cell, 36 cell. And I'm looking down, there's a table right there. All the damus, all the bloods are sitting right there. They're all talking. This fool's got his foot up on a thing. I'm about to beat this. I'm about to this white boy got me up. So the dude that took that fool's cheeks that I'm telling you about, he's kind of clowning with him. Oh, hell yeah, fool, get that mother. Because he just came off of closed custody. So he's already looking like, I'm gonna get this white boy too. This is probably what he's thinking, because I hear him talking. So they finally popped my cell. They said, if you're coming out, that's what they said. If they come out, you remember how I told you people made them fake hands out of the cardboard? They're like, flash the paper or flash your cell light. So I took the cardboard and I went like that. They popped my cell. I'm thinking my cellie's asleep because he's not talking. And usually we stay up all night playing chess. But we played chess for a minute. He goes, I'm gonna lay down. I'm like, all right. So as soon as I come out the cell, I come out in my gym shorts, my gym, like a gym t-shirt, and I come out in my shoes, and I got my real clothes folded up. So I come out, the laws already know what's going on. So as soon as I go to shut the door and the door's about to shut, man, this shit's damn near like a movie. That fool Ty puts his hand right here and hits his hand. And I turn and I look because I'm shutting it like this. So I look this way. I'm like, I let go of the door. He pushes it open. He steps out. Everybody's looking. Oh, what's up, Ty? Woo, what's up, fool? So that fool just straight says it. I never heard this dude talk this loud. He's like, ain't no what's up. So he goes, I'm riding with the white boy. So like when I came out of that cell, before I came out of that cell, my adrenaline was pumping so hard with like fear and anxiety, and because I know now these dudes that are I can hear them at the table talking about me. So I know that they're against me. They want to see me fail. So I'm like, bro, I better like shine. Like I better not get knocked out. Like I'm like just thinking in my head, I'm going over moves that I'm gonna try to do. Like I'm playing this shit out. And as soon as he did that, and then he came out and he goes, I'm riding with the white boy. My confidence raised. It was like everything that was scared about me disappeared. So instead of me coming down this way, which was the way I was gonna go, he starts walking this way. He said, come on, homie. He's like, bring your stuff. So I bring my stuff. We go down the stairs. And so on two sections, like I told you, there's stairs on both sides. So there was a table right there directly by where my cell was. So that same table's on that side. So I set my stuff down there. So in prison, I don't know if they still have them, but there was a religious magazine called Victory that they used to come and hand out. So there was like a stack of Victory magazines on each table. So I fucking stand over there. I get out of my shit, put on my gloves, and I just stand under. So the first stair that comes up, then it's a platform, then it's the second stair that goes up. I stand under that stair going up, and I stand there and I don't say shit. I'm just standing there waiting for him to come over. So he walks over and he's like, what's up? You ready to get after this, fool? And I was like, yeah, fool, you already know what it is, dog. Like there ain't no more talking. He goes back over there, starts politicking, comes back. Now they done ran out pill window. So he tells Ty, he's like, so you riding with the white boy? And he said, man, there ain't no talking, fool. I'm riding with the white boy. He goes back, starts talking some more. Ty gets up, walks over there. I don't say shit. I just stand over there. Not nothing. They're going to talk. And then one of the other dudes, I can't remember his fucking name. We never really around like that. But he's like, bro, you over here telling everybody, you got everybody out in the day room. There's dudes in 1 and 3 section looking in the window, trying to see the fight. And he's all like, you don't went around telling everybody you're going to beat the out this white boy. Go over there and fight that white boy. He's like, because as right now, that white boy looks more like a than you do. Go over there and beat his ass. Stop talking about it. This fool comes walking over there, picks one of those Victory magazines up, walks over to me and stands in front of me and he goes, you see this right here? You see what it says? And I look at him and I'm like, he's like, this is what I'm about. And I'm like, well, then let's get after it, fool. He's like, yeah, we will. And then he threw the magazine on the thing, hit the button. The dude came, what's up? He's like, let me up out of here, and walks out. We never have a fight, and I never had to fight again after that incident. Because that dude had hands. Like when you talk about dudes on the farm who could thump, he was a name that got brought up. Like that fool had, everybody knew what was up. I don't know why he didn't want to fight me. I don't know what was up. I know that I saw him in the streets 2 years ago.
So you think he would have beat your ass?
I think he would have beat the out of me. I ain't never seen him fight, but I know other people that got hands and say that fool got hands. But for some reason, he didn't want to fight me. In a Denver lane that I had never met again, he got shipped off the unit after this. Somehow he got off of closed custody, and he came and fell out of place to iPod to meet me. He walked in, he's like, and I'm working out, so me and my workout partners were doing like wheelbarrow push-ups up all. So this is what we would do. So I'd get on the first row. So here's the steps right here. So say I'd kick my legs up and you would hold my legs and I would like pin them to your side. I'd do 5 push-ups, get on the first stair, 5 push-ups, get on the first stair, all the way around up to 3 row, wheelbarrow all the way across and do that coming down. And that was one set. We did that a piece 3 times. So I was doing that workout, and as I was going up the stairs, he fell out of place with his shirt off, yoked up He had a head dome piece of $100 bills, and it was like parted either on this side or that side. Like the $100 bills were peeling back. It was fire. He's like, "Hey, where's the snow bunny at? The snow bunny that called out, woo." They're like, "Look out, Tim." So my homeboy, who was a BSV from Galveston, Cocky Lou, he put my legs down. It was me, him, and a Mandingo warrior working out Ghost. And he was from Houston. And came down the stairs. He's like, "You Tim from Temple?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "What's poppin', Damu? Boom, 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 boom. What's up, fool? Hey, I heard about you, homie." He's like, "You got my respect, fool. Fuck with you. Anything you need, you ever fall down to 8 building, anything you need, I got you, man. I'm the one down there." I'm like, hell yeah. And by the time I made his 8 building, he was already shipped off. But that incident right there, even though we didn't fight, it gave me, I don't know why he didn't want to fight me. Like I said, I saw the fool at the 7-Eleven a couple years ago when I was in Temple. And I saw him, and I don't know if he didn't recognize me because of my long hair, but I have a very distinct voice. And I was like, "Hey, what's up, fool?" And he looked at me. He walked in the 7 and he came out. I was getting gas. He looked at me. I was just being like, "What's up?" Like on some what's up shit. Like, "How you doing?" And he went and got in the car and drove off and just kept staring at me. So I don't know if he just didn't recognize me and maybe he was trying to put the voice to the face and stuff like that. I don't know. But yeah, that incident right there and not even fighting like gave me like through the roof clout with all the Damus.
So now you're a 5'9" blood.
Yeah.
Are you the only white blood in that prison?
I was the only one there for a while until a white dude showed up on the unit from the free world. He was, I think, from Greens Point or from 5th Ward, a white dude named Brad. He showed up. He was 5'9" bounty hunter. Cool as fuck, could rap.
So this made you feel good. This gave you status. Like, how did it feel? Did you get that sense of belonging that you had been looking for since you were a kid?
I already had it, but like when that incident happened, like I was still very weary. Like I felt like I was going to get jumped or something. Like I was still kind of nervous, but then like I would stand. So they wound up just moving some dudes around. And because my homeboy from Cali whooped a lieutenant in the chow hall. So they wound up like just like moving dudes to different pods for some reason. I don't know why they did that, but it was only Bloods that they did that to. So they wound up moving me to 3 section and moving Ty to 1 section. So I go to 3 section. So that slab I told you about, the Mexican dude that got stabbed up and shit that I knew, that was my homeboy's gambling partner. And I told you the other dude got kicked and they said his eyes came out of his head. That slab right there that you walk to go to chow, on that staircase, there's windows. And you could see dudes coming by that window and holler at them. And there's like a little vent under the stairs, y'all can talk. So every time all the homies would come by from G-Pod, I'd be on the window and we'd be in there rapping or whatever, talking shit. It was just me and a couple homeboys. We'd stand right there all the time and just talk shit. And they'd come by, hit on the, "What's up, fool?" And he'd see me. He would never say nothing, never shoot nothing back to me. Or if somebody else was next to me and shot, threw up the bees, like he'd throw up the bees, but he wasn't doing it to me. But for a little while, I felt uneasy about it. And then after a while of him like not saying nothing to me, and then one time what really kind of got me at ease with the whole situation, and then I kind of started feeling like, I guess, like maybe fully accepted, I guess it was, like uneasy about it was, I wasn't uneasy about it anymore, was we all went in the chow hall to talk about one of our homies had jacked a dude for some packs, and now that those dudes, it was some BD fools. They wanted their money, or they were saying they were going to set it off with us. And so we fell up in the chow hall to meet, and then everybody shook hands and locked up, and he locked up with me. But like, we didn't say hello. He didn't make eye contact with me. We just kind of was like, "Hey, what's up, fool?" And, left it at that type shit. But
what did you think about at night? Like when you were getting ready to go to sleep, you spend your whole day at maximum stress level from the time you wake up, from the politics to the hustling. It's constant. It's constant stress. It's constant cortisol dump. And then when you go to bed, it's the only time you're alone in prison, kind of.
Yeah.
even though you got your celly. Did you think about your old dreams of being a Navy SEAL? And did it blow you away, like where you had ended up?
I only had those thoughts when certain songs would play. Like, I don't know if you had this, like listening to music in prison. I would listen to like rock, rap, or 80s music. My celly from Houston, all he listened to was 80s music. He never listened to rap. He would listen to nothing but 80s, like pop 80s, all the 80s station, 106.9 The Point. I still remember that. But when I would listen to rock or rap and I would hear certain songs, it would make me think about my friends or my past. Kind of make me get emotional, I would say. Like, not cry, but I would get emotional and think about that, and then think of where I was at now. Think about what I was doing with my life, reflecting on my life, what I had become, and then I guess I just like accepted that I was going to be a prisoner for the rest of my life type shit. Like, I'm very good at compartmentalizing. So like, I think about it and then I just compartmentalize it and say, that's the past and this is who I am now and this is what it is now in that moment in time. So I did reflect all the time. And like I told you, I used to stand on the wall all the time and watch everybody, and I would be reflecting. I'd be like, what the am I doing? Like, what is going on? Like, holy shit. Like, part of me was in awe that I was even doing what I was doing, that I was banging. It felt like surreal. It felt kind of crazy. I felt a million different feelings at one time. The headspace was definitely crazy for sure. I felt like I was putting on an act a lot of the times too, because I couldn't tell anybody how I was feeling because I didn't want to look like a pussy. So, it was, I guess, imposter syndrome, I would call it. But yeah, when I lay in my bed at night, I would think, but I didn't sleep good. I still don't sleep good, but yeah, it was a bunch of different things going on all the time. If that answers the question, I guess that's probably the best way I could answer it.